There's a pattern most people notice only after it repeats a few times. You keep choosing the same kind of partner. You react the same way in conflict. You pull away, or cling, or shut down, right when closeness is possible. And eventually, you start to wonder, why does this keep happening? This book begins with a simple truth. Your relationships are not random. They are shaped by an attachment system that learned, very early, how to stay safe in connection. Attachment isn't just about romance. It shows up in friendships, in family dynamics, in how you handle conflict, distance, intimacy, and even independence. It shapes what feels like love, what feels like danger, how you respond when someone gets too close or too far. And most of this happens outside of conscious choice. Many people misunderstand attachment styles as labels: secure, anxious, avoidant. But attachment isn't a personality flaw or a fixed identity. It's a strategy your nervous system learned to survive emotional connection. This book is not about blaming your parents. It's not about diagnosing yourself or others. And it's not about forcing yourself to become someone you're not. It's about understanding why certain patterns feel automatic, why some relationships feel intoxicating or unbearable, and how awareness gives you room to choose differently. You don't need to remember every detail of your childhood to heal your relationships, but you do need to understand the rules your system learned about closeness. That's what this book is here to help you do. Introduction: Understanding Attachment Styles. Attachment theory originates from the work of John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, who identified different patterns of attachment that arise from early interactions between a child and their primary caregiver. These styles, categorized as secure, anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant, lay the groundwork for how individuals form bonds throughout their lives. Securely attached individuals tend to have healthier relationships, as they can express needs and emotions without fear of rejection. On the other hand, those with anxious or avoidant attachments often struggle with intimacy and vulnerability, affecting their adult relationships. Children develop their attachment style based on the responsiveness of their caregivers. For instance, a child who receives consistent nurturing is likely to develop a secure attachment. Conversely, a child who faces neglect or inconsistency may develop an anxious or avoidant attachment style, leading to challenges in forming strong emotional connections. Understanding these attachment styles helps clarify why individuals react differently in relationships, often leading to patterns that can hinder or enhance emotional closeness. The first step in this journey is self-reflection. Consider how you usually respond in romantic relationships, friendships, and even family interactions. Do you feel comfortable expressing your feelings, or do you often hold back? Do you find yourself craving closeness or pushing people away? By asking these questions, you start to understand your attachment tendencies. For example, if you often feel anxious about how your partner feels about you, you might lean towards an anxious attachment style. Alternatively, if you prefer to maintain distance and keep emotions at bay, you may have an avoidant style. Recognizing your attachment style is only part of the process. Once you identify it, you can work on developing healthier patterns. This might involve seeking support from a therapist who can help you understand the roots of your attachment behaviors and guide you toward building secure connections. Open communication with partners and friends also plays a crucial role in this. By discussing attachment styles and how they affect your relationship, you can foster an environment of understanding and empathy. Being aware of your attachment style does not mean you are forever bound by it. Many people have successfully shifted from insecure attachment styles to more secure ones through awareness and practice. Building emotional awareness, practicing vulnerability, and learning to trust are key components of this transformation. A useful tip for anyone looking to improve their attachment style is to start small. Work on expressing your needs in minor interactions, gradually moving toward deeper emotional exchanges. This practice helps build confidence and creates a solid foundation for healthier connections in the future. The impact on relationships. Attachment styles deeply influence the way people connect with others and sustain their relationships. Whether someone feels safe and close or guarded and distant often stems from their underlying attachment style. For example, individuals with a secure attachment tend to trust partners more easily and find it natural to express their emotions. This openness encourages intimacy and creates a stable foundation, allowing relationships to grow steadily over time. In contrast, those with anxious attachment may crave constant reassurance and fear abandonment, leading to intense emotional highs and lows. Dependence on a partner's approval can become overwhelming, sometimes causing strain or confusion in the way both partners relate. People who have an avoidant attachment style often prioritize independence to a strong degree, making emotional closeness feel uncomfortable or risky. They might downplay their own needs or resist intimacy to protect themselves from potential hurt. This can create distance and misunderstanding, as their behaviors may seem cold or dismissive to their partners. At the same time, those with disorganized attachment often wrestle with conflicting feelings. Their approach can oscillate between wanting closeness and pushing it away, which may confuse both themselves and those around them. Each style carries patterns of trust, intimacy, and dependency that subtly or boldly shape how individuals interact on a daily basis. When these attachment-driven behaviors play out, they affect the roles people take within their relationships. Someone securely attached might approach conflicts calmly and openly, while an anxious partner could escalate issues through emotional intensity. Avoidant individuals may remove themselves from difficult conversations, fearing vulnerability, which can leave problems unresolved. Over time, these repeated patterns become well-worn grooves in the way couples relate, influencing satisfaction and longevity. Recognizing one's attachment style can bring clarity to these patterns, offering a chance to understand why certain reactions or feelings arise in close relationships. Attachment styles don't just impact romantic partnerships. They extend their influence into friendships, family connections, and even work relationships. When people understand how their style affects the way they approach others, it can open new paths for personal growth. Someone with an anxious attachment might learn to manage their fears of rejection, developing healthier boundaries and self-confidence. Meanwhile, avoidant individuals can practice being more emotionally available, which enriches their connections and fosters trust. These shifts don't happen overnight, but with awareness and effort, attachment-related challenges can lead to stronger, more satisfying interactions in many areas of life. Conflict resolution is another arena where attachment styles come into play. A securely attached person typically feels safe enough to discuss problems calmly and seek solutions. Those with anxious tendencies might interpret conflict as a sign of impending loss, which can intensify disagreements and evoke panic or jealousy. Avoidant partners may withdraw to avoid discomfort, allowing resentment to grow beneath the surface. Understanding these tendencies can help people tailor their responses, promoting clearer communication and healthier resolution of disputes. It becomes easier to recognize when emotional reactions are less about the current issue and more about deeper attachment fears. Long-term satisfaction in relationships also often depends on how well partners manage their attachment-driven needs and vulnerabilities. Awareness of attachment styles allows couples to set realistic expectations and support each other's growth. Over time, this can mean building trust in ways that calm anxiety or encourage openness without feeling smothered. It also helps partners avoid falling into repeating patterns that cause frustration and distance. When both individuals commit to understanding their own behaviors and each other's emotional needs, relationships are more likely to flourish with lasting satisfaction rather than becoming stuck in cycles of conflict or withdrawal. One practical approach is to notice the moments when feelings of insecurity arise and consider how attachment habits might be influencing those emotions. Paying attention to these signals and communicating them calmly can prevent misunderstandings before they grow. Simple changes in how one responds, such as reassuring an anxious partner or gently encouraging avoidant partners to share more, can create significant shifts. Learning to recognize and work with attachment patterns is a valuable skill that influences every relationship, enriching daily interactions and deepening connections. Overview of the book's purpose. This book is designed to shed light on how the way we relate to others starts within. Our attachment styles, often shaped early in life, influence how we connect, trust, and care in every relationship we have. Whether it's with a partner, family member, friend, or even a colleague, our attachment pattern acts like an unseen blueprint. Recognizing this pattern can help us uncover why we behave in certain ways and how it impacts our interactions daily. The goal here is to make attachment theory accessible and relevant to everyday life, helping readers understand themselves better and build healthier connections. Understanding your attachment style holds the potential to transform many aspects of your life. When you recognize the core drivers behind your relationship behaviors, you gain tools to change habits that may be holding you back. This isn't just about fixing problems, but about fostering mindful awareness of how your attachments shape your experiences. When you understand your style, you can see how your past influences your present, which in turn allows for more conscious choices. Choosing to learn about these patterns can lead to deeper connections that feel more genuine and satisfying across all areas of life. The core purpose of this book is to help you see that attachment styles are not fixed labels, but lenses through which we view our relationships. Once you identify your style, you can begin to adjust behaviors that don't serve you well. For example, if you tend to withdraw when things get tough or become overly clingy, understanding why can help you develop healthier responses. This awareness creates space for growth and change, empowering you to build relationships rooted in trust, security, and mutual understanding. The goal isn't perfection, but progress toward more fulfilling interactions with those around you. Understanding your attachment style also helps clarify why certain relationships repeat patterns over and over. Recognizing these patterns allows you to break free from cycles that have felt unchangeable for years. It provides a framework to see where your reactions come from and why you might be drawn to specific types of partners or conflicts. This insight offers a chance to choose differently, leading to more stable and positive relationships. Ultimately, the purpose of this book is to serve as a guide for turning awareness into action, encouraging growth in every relationship aspect, whether personal, professional, or romantic. Armed with this understanding, you can approach relationships with greater compassion for yourself and others. Knowing that attachment styles are rooted in early experiences doesn't mean they define you permanently. With effort and insight, change is possible. Learning about attachment styles isn't just an academic exercise, it's a pathway to healthier, more authentic connections. This book encourages curiosity about your patterns and provides practical steps to move toward more secure and satisfying relationships in all areas of life. If you aim to develop better relationships, start by observing your reactions and feelings in different interactions. Small steps, like recognizing when you're feeling anxious or distant, can open the door to making intentional choices. Understanding that your attachment style influences your perceptions and behaviors enables you to respond more thoughtfully. This awareness acts as a foundation for building trust, reducing misunderstandings, and nurturing more resilient bonds. The purpose here is to empower you with knowledge that leads to real change, helping you foster the kind of relationships you truly want. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Attachment Theory. Historical background of attachment theory. Attachment theory originated from the work of British psychologist John Bowlby in the mid-20th century. His research focused on understanding the emotional bonds between infants and their primary caregivers. Bowlby believed that these early relationships significantly influence an individual's emotional and social development. His observations of children in foster homes and during World War II, where many children were separated from their families, informed his ideas about the importance of stable attachments. He felt that the lack of a consistent caregiver could lead to long-term emotional difficulties. Bowlby's work was built upon earlier psychological theories, particularly those of Sigmund Freud, who emphasized the importance of early childhood experiences. However, Bowlby shifted the focus from Freud's sexual developmental stages to the importance of emotional bonds. He introduced the concept of the secure base, suggesting that a dependable caregiver provides a sense of safety, allowing children to explore their environments and develop independence. This idea formed the foundation for understanding how attachments affect behavior and relationships throughout life. Attachment theory evolved through the contributions of several key researchers. Mary Ainsworth, a close collaborator of Bowlby, further developed the theory by conducting the strange situation experiment in the 1970s. This study involved observing how infants responded to their caregiver's presence and absence in a controlled setting. Ainsworth identified different attachment styles: secure, anxious, and avoidant. Securely attached children showed distress when their caregiver left, but were easily comforted upon their return. Anxious children were overly clingy and difficult to soothe, while avoidant infants ignored their caregiver. These attachment styles provide insight into how individuals relate to others in adulthood. For instance, securely attached adults tend to have healthier relationships, characterized by trust and effective communication. In contrast, individuals with anxious or avoidant attachment styles may struggle with intimacy or fear of abandonment. The work of Ainsworth and others sparked further research into how early attachment styles predict behaviors in adult relationships, deepening the understanding of emotional connections. The understanding of attachment theory continues to grow, fueled by advancements in psychological research and clinical observations. It has become a vital framework in various fields, including psychology, social work, and education. Therapists often apply attachment principles to help clients address relationship issues stemming from their early attachment experiences. The recognition of different attachment styles allows individuals to understand their relational patterns and work towards healthier interactions. Research in neuroscience has also demonstrated how early experiences shape brain development, reinforcing the claims of attachment theorists. This insight underscores the importance of nurturing environments during childhood, as they contribute significantly to emotional well-being. Practical applications of attachment theory now extend to parenting practices, educational settings, and even workplace dynamics, highlighting how these foundational bonds influence virtually every aspect of human interaction. Understanding your own attachment style may provide valuable insights into your relationships. Reflecting on your early experiences and patterns can be a first step toward healthier connections with others. Recognizing how your attachment style affects your interactions can guide you in fostering stronger, more fulfilling relationships in every part of your life. Key researchers and their contributions. John Bowlby is widely recognized as the father of attachment theory. His work in the mid-20th century laid the groundwork for understanding how early relationships between children and their caregivers shape emotional bonds throughout life. Bowlby emphasized the significance of a child's need for a secure emotional connection with a primary caregiver, which he believed influences the child's sense of safety and ability to form future relationships. Through his observations and theoretical framework, he highlighted how attachment behaviors develop as a survival mechanism, ensuring that the child stays close to a protective figure. Building on Bowlby's ideas, Mary Ainsworth contributed practical insights into how these attachment styles appear in everyday interactions. She developed the strange situation assessment, a carefully designed observational procedure to study infant caregiver relationships. This method revealed distinct patterns of attachment: secure, avoidant, and anxious/resistant, that reflected the way children responded to separation and reunion with their caregiver. Ainsworth's work gave researchers and clinicians a reliable tool to identify and categorize attachment behaviors, providing a deeper understanding of the complexities involved in early emotional bonds. Following Ainsworth, Mary Main introduced the concept of the disorganized attachment style, recognizing that not all attachment patterns fit neatly into previous categories. Her research explored how frightening or unresolved experiences with caregivers could disrupt a child's attachment system, leading to confusion or fear rather than clear attachment behaviors. Main also developed the adult attachment interview, a method to assess how early attachment experiences influence adult relationships. Her contributions connected childhood attachment with adult emotional health, expanding the theory's relevance across the lifespan. The insights from Bowlby, Ainsworth, and Main have profoundly influenced how psychologists understand relationship patterns and emotional development. Attachment theory now frames many approaches in clinical psychology, particularly in treating anxiety, depression, and relationship difficulties. Practitioners often look at a person's attachment history to better understand their current struggles, recognizing that early patterns often repeat themselves in adulthood. This shift has helped therapists move beyond symptom management and focus on underlying relational experiences. Researchers influenced by these pioneers have expanded attachment research to cover romantic relationships, friendships, and even workplace dynamics. They emphasize that attachment styles are flexible but tend to shape how people seek support, handle conflict, and express emotions. This broader application helps explain why some individuals find closeness easier than others or struggle with trust. In therapeutic settings, identifying attachment styles can guide interventions aimed at building security and healthier ways of connecting. Attachment theory's impact also extends to parenting programs and early childhood education, underlining the importance of stable, responsive caregiving. Many contemporary practices encourage parents to foster secure attachments by being emotionally available and sensitive to their children's needs. Understanding attachment has led to more informed policies and practices that prioritize emotional development alongside physical health. In everyday life, recognizing how attachment styles operate can offer a practical lens for improving communication and empathy in relationships. An actionable idea to keep in mind is that while early attachment experiences are powerful, they are not destined to define every relationship. Awareness of one's attachment tendencies can open the door to change and growth. People can improve their relational well-being by consciously working on trust, openness, and emotional regulation, supported by therapeutic or self-reflective practices. Basic concepts and definitions. Attachment theory is a way to understand how humans form emotional bonds and how these bonds influence our behaviors and relationships throughout life. It suggests that the patterns we develop early in childhood with caregivers have a big impact on how we connect with others later on. Understanding these patterns can help us explain why some relationships feel easy and nurturing, while others seem more challenging or tense. Recognizing the core ideas behind attachment theory gives us a clearer picture of our own relationship tendencies and how they shape our daily interactions. To appreciate attachment theory fully, it's important to understand some key terms. Attachment refers to the emotional connection we develop with significant people in our lives, especially in early childhood. An attachment style describes the typical ways a person behaves in close relationships, often rooted in early experiences. For example, some individuals are comfortable relying on others and trusting them deeply, while others may be wary of closeness or fear abandonment. These styles are not fixed and can change over time, but they tend to influence how we seek comfort, express emotions, and respond to intimacy. People often talk about secure and insecure attachment styles, which lie on a spectrum. Secure attachment is characterized by comfort with intimacy and confidence in having support from others. Those with insecure attachment styles, which include anxious, avoidant, and disorganized types, tend to struggle with trust, intimacy, or emotional regulation in relationships. Anxious attachment might make someone very clingy or worried about their partner's commitment. Avoidant attachment describes individuals who prefer independence and may distance themselves when intimacy is needed. Disorganized attachment combines traits of both, often linked to inconsistent caregiving or trauma in early life, leading to unpredictable or conflicting behaviors in relationships. Attachment styles influence how we deal with closeness, how much we seek reassurance, and how we handle conflict or separation. For example, a person with a secure attachment generally communicates effectively and feels comfortable expressing both their needs and boundaries. Conversely, someone with avoidant tendencies might withdraw when feeling vulnerable, making it harder for others to connect deeply. Recognizing these behaviors is vital because it helps us understand the root causes of relationship patterns and offers a foundation for growth and change. It's also worth noting that attachment styles are not purely genetic. They are shaped by early caregiving experiences and the environment we grow up in. Understanding these concepts makes it easier to see why certain relationship dynamics recur in our lives. If, for example, we often find ourselves feeling anxious or distant, knowing about these attachment patterns can help us figure out where these feelings originate. By learning the language of attachment and the different styles, we can start to identify our own patterns and those of others more clearly. This awareness becomes a tool for building healthier connections and fostering more secure relationships, regardless of where we start from. Small changes in how we respond to others can gradually shift our attachment style and improve our interpersonal experiences. Chapter 2: Types of Attachment Styles. Secure attachment. People with a secure attachment style feel comfortable expressing their needs and emotions while also being receptive to those of others. They typically exhibit a sense of stability in their relationships, viewing themselves and their partners positively. This mindset cultivates an environment where love and understanding can flourish, allowing for honest discussions about needs, desires, and challenges without fear of abandonment or judgment. When conflicts arise, they engage in constructive dialogue rather than avoidance or aggression. They have an inherent belief that relationships are worth the effort, and they invest time and energy into making connections stronger. Their ability to navigate emotional ups and downs helps them manage stress gracefully, ultimately reinforcing the bond with their partners. Securely attached individuals are often viewed as reliable and supportive, providing a safe haven within the relationship. One of the hallmarks of secure attachment is the ability to set and respect boundaries. This balance allows individuals to maintain their identity while nurturing their relationships. Healthy boundaries prevent codependency while encouraging mutual support. Securely attached people understand that it's possible to be independent and still be part of a partnership. This awareness enables them to engage in self-care while being present for others. Recognizing when to step back is a crucial skill that maintains harmony in relationships, preventing burnout and resentment. An integral part of secure attachment is effective communication. People with this attachment style express their thoughts and feelings openly and honestly, fostering an atmosphere of trust. They listen actively, ensuring that their partner feels heard and valued. When misunderstandings occur, they work together to clarify intentions rather than resorting to blame. This proactive approach not only resolves conflicts but also strengthens the emotional bond, making the relationship more resilient over time. For those who naturally tend toward a secure attachment style, their relationships often reflect a sense of safety and belonging. Friends and partners feel comfortable being vulnerable without fear of negative consequences. This openness allows for deeper connections built on shared experiences and mutual support. The emotional health of securely attached individuals contributes positively to their networks, as they inspire others to foster stable and nurturing relationships. To cultivate a secure attachment style, it's beneficial to practice self-reflection and mindfulness. Understanding one's own emotions and triggers plays a crucial role in forming healthier connections. Regular check-ins with oneself can help individuals recognize patterns in behavior and thoughts that may hinder relationship growth. Engaging in conversations about feelings, expectations, and boundaries can encourage an atmosphere where everyone involved feels safe and valued. Anxious attachment. Anxious attachment is a pattern of relating to others that often stems from early experiences with caregivers who were inconsistent or unpredictable. When a child's emotional needs are met in a way that feels uncertain, they may grow up feeling unsure about whether they are truly loved or valued. This uncertainty creates a deep desire for closeness mixed with a fear of abandonment. As a result, people with anxious attachment often seek excessive reassurance and may feel vulnerable in relationships, constantly questioning their partner's feelings or intentions. Those with an anxious attachment style tend to be highly sensitive to signs of rejection or distance. They might interpret small actions or moments of quiet as potential threats to the relationship. This hyperawareness can lead to behaviors that aim to secure connection but sometimes push others away, such as needing constant communication, overanalyzing interactions, or expressing jealousy. Their emotions can feel intense and overwhelming, making it difficult to maintain a calm perspective during conflicts or times of stress. The need for closeness is genuine but often tangled with worries about whether that closeness will last. Understanding anxious attachment means recognizing the mix of desire and fear that shapes how these individuals respond to others. Their struggles aren't about a lack of love, but about how early experiences created expectations that others may not always be reliable or present. This internal tension often shows up in adult relationships as a longing to be deeply connected along with a worry that connection might be lost at any moment. Recognizing these traits is the first step toward addressing them in a healthier way. In adult relationships, anxious attachment can lead to several challenges. Those with this style often find themselves caught in cycles of intense closeness followed by feelings of distance or rejection. They may frequently seek validation or fear that their partner will leave, leading to behaviors that can feel overwhelming to others. This push-pull dynamic can create confusion and strain, especially if the partner has a more avoidant style or struggles with emotional expression. The anxious partner's need for reassurance can sometimes be misunderstood as insecurity or neediness, even though it stems from genuine emotional needs. Despite these challenges, people with anxious attachment can cultivate stronger, more secure relationships by learning to recognize their internal patterns and communicate their needs directly. Building trust with themselves and others plays a crucial role in this process. Practicing mindfulness or journaling can help identify moments when anxiety is taking over, allowing space to pause rather than react impulsively. Setting small goals around self-soothing and relying less on external validation can gradually reduce the intensity of anxious feelings. Working with a therapist or support system can guide this growth by providing tools and perspectives that reshape how attachment fears are managed. It's also helpful to choose partners who respond with patience and consistency, as reliable responses help retrain the anxious brain to expect safety rather than instability. Over time, people with anxious attachment can develop deeper self-compassion and a greater sense of emotional security. This does not mean becoming less caring, but rather learning to love without the constant fear of losing that love. When anxiety is met with understanding and care, relationships can move from a place of tension to one of trust and connection. A practical step for managing anxious attachment is to pause before reacting when feeling triggered. Taking a few deep breaths or quietly reflecting on what is driving the emotion allows space to respond more thoughtfully. Recognizing that the desire for reassurance is natural, but that it doesn't always need to be acted upon immediately can be powerful. This small practice can prevent misunderstandings and build confidence in one's ability to handle relationship ups and downs without spiraling into fear or desperation. Avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment often develops during early childhood when a child's needs for comfort, closeness, or reassurance are consistently unmet. Children who grow up feeling ignored, dismissed, or emotionally neglected may learn that expressing their feelings or seeking help leads to rejection or discomfort. Over time, these children tend to adapt by suppressing their needs for closeness, learning to rely on themselves, and to keep emotional distance from others. This coping mechanism becomes a pattern that shapes how they view relationships and interact with others well into adulthood. It's not necessarily a conscious choice, but a learned response to their early environment, often created by caregivers who were unavailable, unresponsive, or overwhelmed themselves. This attachment style usually originates from a combination of factors, including inconsistent caregiving, high levels of parental criticism, or caregivers who expressed love sporadically without maintaining emotional availability. Children in such environments might interpret these experiences as a message that they are better off alone or self-sufficient. As they grow, they may carry the belief that closeness will inevitably lead to disappointment or rejection, so distancing themselves feels like a way to protect against being hurt. This learned stance becomes deeply ingrained, influencing how they handle emotions and intimacy later in life. Many avoidant individuals are often aware they keep others at arm's length, but do not fully understand why. They may struggle with feelings of discomfort when faced with too much vulnerability or emotional closeness. Their automatic response is to retreat or minimize the importance of relationships, which can result in difficulty forming deep, lasting bonds. Even if they crave connection, their fear of dependence or being hurt keeps them from fully opening up. Recognizing these roots can help avoidant individuals understand that their patterns are not flaws but adaptations to early experiences. This awareness is the first step toward changing behaviors and building healthier connections. It's helpful to remember that avoidant attachment isn't set in stone. While these patterns have roots in childhood, they are learned behaviors that can be unlearned or modified with effort and support. Becoming mindful of the ways avoidance shows up in adult relationships, such as withdrawing during conflict, avoiding intimacy, or dismissing emotional needs, can open the door to addressing underlying fears. Many people find that slowly practicing vulnerability and seeking safe spaces for emotional sharing helps to weaken avoidant tendencies over time. Small steps toward openness can gradually build trust and create a new understanding of closeness as safe rather than threatening. People with avoidant attachment often need to challenge the belief that independence and closeness are mutually exclusive. Understanding that true strength includes vulnerability is crucial. Embracing this idea may feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, it can transform how they experience relationships. Developing self-awareness about avoidance behaviors and learning to sit with uncomfortable feelings can lead to greater emotional intimacy. Seeking out supportive relationships, whether with friends, partners, or therapists, allows for gradual exposure to closeness in a safe and controlled way, fostering new, healthier attachment patterns. Chapter 3: Developing Your Attachment Style. Early childhood experiences. Early childhood experiences play a crucial role in shaping how we connect with others throughout our lives. The relationships we develop with our primary caregivers during this formative stage are foundational to our attachment styles. These caregivers, often our parents or guardians, provide our first experiences of love, security, and trust. When caregivers consistently respond to a child's needs, it fosters a secure attachment, allowing the child to feel safe and valued. In contrast, inconsistent or neglectful responses can lead to anxious or avoidant attachment styles, where individuals may struggle with trust and intimacy later in life. The environment in which a child grows up also significantly influences attachment styles. Factors such as parental stress, socioeconomic status, and exposure to trauma can affect a caregiver's ability to provide emotional support. For example, a child raised in a nurturing home, where parents are present and attentive, tends to develop healthier emotional responses. On the other hand, a child in a chaotic or unstable environment may learn to be self-reliant and distant in their relationships. Understanding these dynamics is essential for grasping how early conditions influence adult behavior. Our earliest interactions set the stage for how we view the world and influence our emotional responses throughout life. A child who experiences love and security is likely to develop a sense of self-worth and the ability to express emotions openly. Conversely, if a child's needs are ignored or dismissed, they may grow to perceive the world as unsafe or unreliable. This perception can lead to difficulties in forming healthy relationships later on, as the individual may struggle with feelings of inadequacy or fear of abandonment. Recognizing the impact of early childhood experiences is not only about understanding the past, it also opens up pathways for healing and growth. Individuals seeking healthier relationships can reflect on their attachment styles and work towards developing more secure bonds. By identifying past experiences, one can start to challenge and change negative patterns, promoting healthier interactions in the future. Influence of family dynamics. From the moment we enter the world, the emotional environment we grow up in shapes how we connect with others. Family interactions create the first emotional bonds, which play a crucial role in forming our early attachment behaviors. These bonds are not just about care and nurture, but also about how feelings are expressed, received, and responded to between family members. When caregivers consistently meet a child's emotional and physical needs with warmth and sensitivity, the child learns that the world is a safe place and that relationships are dependable. On the other hand, inconsistent or neglectful responses can lead to uncertainty or anxiety about whether support will be available in times of need. These early patterns of interaction teach children what to expect from relationships and how to respond emotionally. Experiences such as how conflicts are managed, how affection is shown, or how boundaries are respected within the family contribute to a child's understanding of trust, security, and emotional expression. The way family members relate to one another sets a template that often guides future relationships, both romantic and social. These first models affect whether individuals grow up feeling secure, uncertain, distant, or overly dependent when they connect with others. Family dynamics also shape how people view themselves within relationships. For example, children raised in families where emotional needs were overlooked might develop a sense of unworthiness or doubt their value in relationships. Conversely, families that fostered acceptance and validation tend to raise individuals confident in expressing their emotions and asking for support. Even subtle patterns, like whether emotions are openly discussed or silently ignored, influence how a person learns to regulate feelings and respond to intimacy. Recognizing the impact of family interactions and parenting approaches helps explain why people develop different attachment styles. Parenting that is responsive and consistent generally leads to secure attachment, where individuals feel comfortable with intimacy and trust. If parents are overly controlling, dismissive, or unpredictable, children may develop anxious or avoidant attachment patterns. These styles shape how people handle closeness and independence in relationships later in life. For example, a child whose parents frequently respond sensitively to their distress learns that seeking comfort is natural and successful. This nurtures a secure base for exploring the world with confidence. On the other hand, parents who are emotionally unavailable or inconsistent can leave children unsure whether they can rely on others, leading to anxious attachment or emotional withdrawal. Children raised in families where emotions are discouraged or punished often grow up struggling to express vulnerability or form deep emotional connections. By understanding these origins, people can start to see why certain relational habits persist. Recognizing that a tendency to cling or to push others away might trace back to early family experiences can pave the way for change. Individuals who reflect on their family's emotional patterns may begin to challenge internalized beliefs about relationships, improving their ability to build healthier, more balanced connections. This insight also empowers people to be more compassionate toward themselves and others, knowing that those early family influences were powerful but not destiny. Because family dynamics influence how people read and respond to emotions, becoming aware of these patterns is a step toward developing better communication and emotional regulation in adult relationships. For instance, someone who grew up in a family where open emotional dialogue was rare might practice expressing feelings slowly and safely to build trust. Meanwhile, those from highly critical families might work on creating boundaries to protect their emotional well-being. Understanding these influences forms the groundwork for any effort to improve how attachment styles show up in real relationships. One practical way to begin shifting attachment patterns shaped by family is through mindful observation of current relationship behaviors. Notice moments of anxiety, avoidance, or discomfort and trace them back to early family experiences. This awareness helps reduce reactive responses and opens space for new, healthier ways of connecting. Over time, these small shifts can build stronger emotional bonds, breaking patterns that once felt unchangeable. Environmental and social factors. Our environments play a significant role in shaping how we connect with others and understand ourselves. From childhood, the experiences we have within our families, schools, and communities lay the foundation for our attachment styles. For example, children who grow up in stable homes where their emotional needs are consistently met tend to develop secure attachments. Conversely, those exposed to inconsistency, neglect, or instability often carry those patterns into adulthood, affecting how they trust or seek comfort in relationships. Cultural influences also shape our expectations and behaviors around closeness and independence. In some cultures, close family ties and community bonds are highly valued, encouraging open emotional expression and strong attachment bonds. In others, independence and personal achievement may take precedence, influencing individuals to become more reserved or self-reliant in their relationships. These cultural norms inform how people interpret intimacy, support, and vulnerability, ultimately affecting their attachment styles. Beyond childhood and culture, social environments continuously impact our attachment behaviors. Peer relationships, for example, teach us about social trust and emotional safety. Positive interactions with friends can reinforce secure attachment by providing reliable support and understanding, while negative experiences like rejection or betrayal can reinforce anxious or avoidant tendencies. School settings, Workplaces and social clubs also influence how comfortable or cautious we are about forming bonds and sharing our feelings. Community dynamics further shape attachment patterns. Growing up in tight-knit communities where everyone knows each other might foster a sense of trust and belonging, nurturing secure attachment. Conversely, environments marked by social volatility, discrimination, or exclusion can heighten feelings of insecurity and mistrust. Society's attitudes towards vulnerability and emotional expression also leave an imprint. Where openness is encouraged, people tend to be more comfortable seeking closeness. Where it's discouraged, individuals might withdraw or suppress their feelings. Personal experiences with social rejection or support can have lasting effects. For example, someone who repeatedly faces teasing or bullying might develop anxious attachment, fearing abandonment, and constantly seeking reassurance. Meanwhile, someone who experiences neglect or emotional distance from caregivers may find it difficult to trust others or develop healthy intimacy. Recognizing how these social factors influence attachment patterns can help individuals understand the roots of their relationship behaviors and develop healthier ways to connect. To support positive social environments, it's helpful to foster open communication, empathy, and consistent support in daily interactions. Building awareness of how social and environmental influences shape attachment can empower individuals to challenge unhelpful patterns and create healthier relationships rooted in trust and understanding. Chapter 4: Attachment and Romantic Relationships. Attachment styles in romantic contexts. Attachment styles are patterns of how we connect with others, often formed in early childhood. There are 4 primary attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Each of these styles shapes how we approach intimacy and relationships. Secure individuals tend to feel comfortable with closeness and can establish healthy boundaries. They are often open to communication and trust their partners. Conversely, those with anxious attachment may seek constant reassurance and fear abandonment. This can lead to behaviors that sometimes overwhelm their partners, seeking excessive closeness that can feel suffocating. Avoidant individuals, on the other hand, typically struggle with intimacy and often prioritize independence over closeness. They can come across as emotionally distant and may dismiss their partner's needs for connection. Lastly, those with a disorganized attachment style often exhibit a mix of anxious and avoidant traits. This inconsistency can create confusion in relationships, as they may crave closeness but also fear it. The ways these styles influence romantic behaviors and expectations can set the tone for how relationships unfold, determining everything from how partners communicate to how they handle conflict. Attachment styles manifest significantly in romantic relationships, influencing everything from emotional intimacy to trust levels. Individuals with secure attachment generally foster deep emotional connections and are comfortable engaging in open conversations about their feelings. They trust their partner's intentions, which allows for healthy conflict resolution. When disagreements arise, secure individuals are more likely to approach the issue calmly, seeking understanding rather than winning an argument. Anxious individuals may experience heightened emotional reactions during conflicts. Their fear of abandonment may lead them to respond with intense feelings or cling to their partners, even when it is not appropriate. This can create a cycle where their partners feel pressured, leading to more tension. On the other hand, avoidant individuals often deal with conflict by withdrawing or shutting down, preferring to avoid the emotional discomfort altogether. Their reluctance to communicate can amplify misunderstandings, resulting in unresolved issues that can erode trust. Disorganized attachment can present unique challenges as individuals may oscillate between seeking closeness and pushing their partner away. They may struggle to articulate their emotions or needs, leading to confusion and frustration on both sides. Understanding these patterns in attachment styles can help individuals recognize their own behaviors and work towards healthier interactions. Learning to communicate effectively, set boundaries, and support one another's attachment needs can create a more secure relational environment, fostering trust and intimacy. Communication patterns. Every relationship carries its own unique way of communicating, but beneath the surface, attachment styles often guide how partners express themselves and respond to each other. For people with a secure attachment, communication tends to be open and balanced. They feel comfortable sharing their feelings and needs and are generally responsive to their partner's emotional cues without feeling overwhelmed or distant. These individuals usually create a space where both partners feel heard and understood, contributing to stability and trust. On the other hand, those with anxious attachment often communicate with urgency and heightened sensitivity to perceived signs of rejection or neglect. Their words might come across as passionate or, at times, desperate because their need for reassurance is strong. This can lead to frequent seeking of validation, which, though well-intentioned, may overwhelm their partner. Meanwhile, avoidant attachment shapes communication by encouraging emotional distance. People with this style often downplay their feelings or avoid deep conversations to protect themselves from vulnerability. They might give short answers, withdraw during conflicts, or change the subject to keep emotional matters at bay. These differences in communication often stem from early experiences with caregivers who either consistently met emotional needs or left those needs uncertain or unmet. When someone learns that expressing emotions leads to comfort, they carry that habit into adult relationships. If expressing needs once led to frustration or rejection, they might instead choose silence or anxiety to get attention. Recognizing these patterns is crucial because they often create cycles where one partner's efforts to connect trigger the other's withdrawal or anxiety, perpetuating misunderstandings and frustration. Changing how we communicate requires more than just knowing the words. It demands tuning into the way our attachment style influences our reaction to closeness and conflict. For someone with an anxious attachment, slowing down the urge to seek immediate reassurance can create more space for calm discussions. Practicing patience and developing a habit of self-soothing during moments of doubt helps reduce the pressure on their partner and allows conversations to flow more gently. Learning to ask for clarification instead of assuming rejection can also break the cycle of anxious misunderstanding. Those with an avoidant attachment style can benefit by consciously practicing openness, even when it feels uncomfortable. Allowing small, honest expressions of feelings, even if it feels vulnerable, can gradually build trust. Avoidants may find it helpful to set aside specific times to engage in conversations about emotions instead of avoiding them completely. This gives them control and predictability while encouraging connection. Developing awareness around moments when they tend to withdraw helps interrupt the pattern and encourages responsiveness. For couples where one partner is anxious and the other avoidant, finding a middle ground is essential. This might involve the anxious partner recognizing their own need for reassurance without overwhelming their avoidant partner, while the avoidant partner tries to provide consistent, small gestures to show availability. In all cases, practicing active listening, where partners focus intently on understanding rather than responding, can change the tone of difficult conversations. Communication that emphasizes validation and empathy creates a safer environment for both partners to express themselves honestly. One practical step is to pause and describe your feelings without blame or demands. Saying, "I feel uncertain when I don't hear from you," rather than "you never care enough," shifts the dialogue from accusation to expression. Encouraging your partner to share their perspective without interruption strengthens mutual respect. Over time, incorporating small affirmations of appreciation and patience builds a pattern of trust that softens the impact of more challenging exchanges. conflict, and resolution. Attachment styles play a significant role in how partners experience and handle conflicts. For example, someone with an anxious attachment might feel quick to interpret disagreements as signs of rejection or abandonment. This can lead to behaviors like excessive reassurance seeking or heightened emotional reactions during disagreements. On the other hand, someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment might steer clear of conflict altogether, avoiding emotional closeness and suppressing their feelings to keep distance. Securely attached individuals tend to approach conflicts with more balanced reactions, seeing disagreements as natural and manageable parts of a relationship. Recognizing these patterns can help partners understand why conflicts escalate in certain ways and what underlying attachment fears might be fueling those reactions. Those with anxious attachment often struggle with fear of losing their partner, which can cause them to become overly confrontational or clingy. They might interpret neutral comments as criticisms or threats, leading to frequent misunderstandings. Avoidant individuals, meanwhile, may shut down or withdraw during conflicts, avoiding emotional engagement to protect themselves from perceived vulnerability. Their responses often make resolution difficult because they tend to suppress issues rather than address them openly. Secure attachment allows partners to express concerns without fear of rejection and to listen without becoming defensive. When conflict stems from attachment anxieties, it can spiral into cycles of miscommunication that deepen emotional wounds if not addressed thoughtfully. Understanding the influence of attachment on conflict helps couples identify the root causes of their arguments. It clarifies why certain topics trigger more intense reactions or why some conflicts seem to escalate quickly. This awareness provides a foundation for approaching disagreements with compassion rather than blame. When both partners recognize their own attachment patterns, they can adjust their responses to foster healthier interactions. For example, an anxiously attached person might learn to pause before reacting impulsively, while a dismissively attached partner might work on sharing their feelings more openly. Recognizing these emotional triggers creates space for more empathetic communication and reduces unnecessary conflict fueled by unresolved attachment fears. For individuals with anxious attachment, learning to regulate their emotions can make a big difference during disagreements. Practicing mindfulness helps them pause and consider their reactions before acting on fears of rejection. Developing self-soothing techniques, such as deep breathing or grounding exercises, can calm heightened emotions. It's also helpful for them to communicate their needs calmly and clearly, avoiding accusations or blame. Mutual reassurance and consistent support from their partner can build trust and reduce anxiety in conflicts. When both partners understand the anxious partner's need for emotional security, they can work together to create a safe space for honest discussion. For those with dismissive avoidant attachment, it's important to develop comfort with emotional expression gradually. They can start by sharing small feelings or concerns without expecting immediate resolution, building confidence and opening up. Practicing active listening and showing genuine interest in their partner's perspective encourages deeper connection. It helps to establish routines, such as regular check-ins, where both partners share feelings in a structured and safe environment. Avoidant individuals may also benefit from recognizing that vulnerability does not threaten their independence, but can actually strengthen their relationship. Patience from their partner is crucial, as pushing for quick emotional disclosures often triggers withdrawal. Securely attached individuals tend to navigate conflict more easily because they see disagreements as opportunities to grow closer. For them, using calm, respectful language and focusing on solutions rather than blame works well. They understand the importance of listening fully before responding and expressing their own feelings honestly. To enhance conflict resolution skills, they can encourage their partner to share openly while maintaining empathy. Both partners should aim to validate each other's feelings, regardless of attachment style, to reduce defensiveness and promote understanding. Building a habit of regular, open conversations creates a foundation of trust that makes conflicts less likely to escalate and more likely to be resolved constructively. Establishing ground rules for conflict can also help, such as avoiding name-calling, taking breaks if things get too heated, and committing to listen fully before responding. Keeping the focus on specific issues rather than personal attacks helps prevent conflicts from becoming entrenched. When conflicts do arise, remembering that attachment fears often drive emotional reactions allows partners to respond with patience and compassion rather than defensiveness. Over time, learning to see conflicts as opportunities for growth rather than threats builds stronger, more resilient connections. Small, consistent efforts to listen, validate, and respond thoughtfully create habits that significantly improve resolution outcomes. Practicing these tailored strategies consistently can help break negative patterns and foster a healthier, more understanding relationship. The key is patience. Change takes time, and recognizing attachment-related triggers is the first step toward responding in a more supportive manner. A practical tip is to set aside specific times to discuss sensitive topics, which can decrease anxiety and give both partners the space to prepare emotionally. If disagreements become too frequent or intense, seeking outside support such as counseling can provide additional tools tailored to individual attachment styles. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate conflict altogether, but to handle it in ways that strengthen the relationship rather than weaken it. Chapter 5: Attachment and Friendships. Building Trust and Intimacy. Attachment styles significantly influence how individuals form and nurture friendships. Those with a secure attachment style often find it easier to trust others. They are comfortable sharing their emotions and thoughts, which lays a solid foundation for deeper connections. In contrast, individuals with an anxious attachment style may struggle with trust, often fearing rejection or abandonment. These fears can prevent them from opening up fully in their relationships. On the other hand, those with avoidant attachment may be hesitant to develop close bonds, as they often prioritize independence over intimacy. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for initiating friendships that can withstand the test of time. Friendships often rely on mutual trust, which forms over time through shared experiences and vulnerability. For example, a secure friend might encourage an anxious individual to express their concerns openly, helping to alleviate fears. In this way, trust is built organically through positive interactions. Conversely, a friend with avoidant tendencies may unintentionally create distance, leading to feelings of loneliness. Recognizing these patterns allows individuals to be more intentional in their approach, fostering environments where trust can flourish. By acknowledging and accommodating varying attachment styles, friends can develop deeper, more meaningful connections. Building intimacy and trust requires deliberate effort, especially when individuals come from different attachment backgrounds. One effective strategy is to practice active listening. Engaging fully with what a friend shares fosters a sense of safety and encourages them to be open. This means not just hearing their words, but also paying attention to their emotions and body language. When friends feel understood and valued, their willingness to trust increases, breaking down barriers that may have previously existed. Establishing regular check-ins can also significantly enhance emotional intimacy. Simple practices, such as asking how a friend is doing or sharing personal thoughts and experiences, can deepen connections. Setting aside time for meaningful conversations creates a space for vulnerability. Encouraging friends to express their feelings without judgment helps normalize openness, making it easier to develop trust over time. Even small gestures, such as remembering important dates or sending encouraging messages, go a long way in reinforcing friendship bonds. Additionally, sharing experiences can strengthen connections. Whether it's participating in a hobby together, attending an event, or traveling. Creating shared memories fosters closeness. Engaging in activities that both friends enjoy enhances the sense of teamwork and belonging, further promoting trust. By focusing on positive experiences, individuals can remind each other of their support and commitment, easing fears and reinforcing intimacy. Building trust takes patience and consistency, but the rewards can lead to resilient friendships that provide comfort and joy. Understanding the impact of attachment styles and implementing these strategies can transform relationships. No matter your attachment history, fostering trust and intimacy is possible with intentional effort. Remember, the journey towards stronger friendships benefits from patience, active engagement, and a willingness to learn and adapt. Maintaining boundaries. Maintaining boundaries is a key element in keeping friendships healthy and fulfilling. Boundaries help define where one person ends and another begins, giving each individual space to be themselves without feeling overwhelmed or invaded. Friendships thrive when both people feel safe to express their needs and limits openly. Without clear boundaries, relationships can become strained, resentment can build, and miscommunication tends to grow. Understanding how attachment styles affect boundary setting can shed light on why some individuals struggle more than others with establishing and preserving these limits. People with a secure attachment style usually find it easier to set and maintain boundaries because they feel comfortable being independent while still valuing connection. They tend to respect others' needs and expect their own to be respected in return. On the other hand, those with an anxious attachment style may fear that boundaries will push others away, leading them to blur limits to avoid conflict or rejection. This can cause them to overstep or neglect their own needs out of worry about losing the friendship. Avoidant attachment styles often result in rigid or distant boundaries, where individuals keep others at arm's length to protect themselves from vulnerability. This behavior might leave friends feeling shut out or uncertain about how much closeness is welcome. People with disorganized attachment may experience a confusing mix of wanting closeness but fearing it, causing inconsistent boundary setting. They might push others away at times and then demand more space or attention at others, making it difficult to maintain steady, healthy friendships. Recognizing these patterns can help individuals become more aware of how their attachment style influences the way they approach boundaries. This awareness opens the door to making conscious choices about how to communicate limits in a way that honors both their needs and the needs of their friends. Setting boundaries starts with understanding your own feelings and limits. For people with anxious attachment, it helps to pause and reflect on what feels comfortable instead of immediately trying to please others. Practicing clear, gentle communication about needs can build trust and reassurance without overwhelming either party. For example, saying something like, "I enjoy our time together, but I also need some space to recharge," lets friends know what you need without creating distance. People with avoidant attachment might benefit from gradually opening up by sharing small parts of themselves, showing that vulnerability can coexist with independence. Building safe moments where both friends feel respected and heard encourages more balanced boundaries. For those with disorganized attachment styles, consistency and predictability in boundary setting are helpful. Creating simple routines about how and when to communicate can reduce confusion and anxiety. This can be as straightforward as agreeing on checking in with each other regularly or setting specific times to hang out, which prevents feeling flooded by unpredictability. Regardless of attachment style, learning to listen actively when a friend expresses a boundary and responding with empathy validates their feelings and promotes mutual respect. Respecting someone's limits is as crucial as expressing your own. Sometimes boundaries can cause discomfort because they challenge familiar patterns in a friendship. It's useful to remind yourself that boundaries are not walls, but bridges that keep relationships healthy and open. Practicing patience and compassion with yourself and your friends while navigating these conversations creates space for growth. When boundaries are clear, friendships can become stronger, allowing both individuals to feel valued and understood without sacrificing their own well-being. One practical tip to strengthen boundary setting is to check in with yourself regularly. Ask what you need to feel comfortable and supported in your friendships, and be willing to communicate that openly. Boundaries are not fixed. They can shift with time and circumstances. Being flexible while maintaining honesty helps friendships adapt and flourish, making them more resilient and meaningful for everyone involved. Dealing with disagreements. Attachment styles play a significant role in how we react when conflicts arise with friends. Those with a secure attachment often approach disagreements with calmness and a willingness to listen, seeing conflict as a natural part of relationships that can be resolved through open communication. In contrast, individuals with anxious attachment may become overwhelmed with worry or fear of losing the friendship, leading them to seek reassurance or become overly emotional during conflicts. Those with avoidant attachment might distance themselves or withdraw when disagreements emerge, preferring to disengage rather than confront the issue directly. Recognizing your own attachment style helps you understand why you respond a certain way during disagreements and can shed light on how your reactions may impact the friendship. It also enables you to see that others' responses are often rooted in their own attachment patterns, fostering a little more patience and understanding during conflicts. People with anxious attachment might tend to interpret minor disagreements as signs of a deeper problem, leading to unnecessary escalation. Meanwhile, avoidant types can see conflict as threatening, causing them to shut down or become less responsive. Those with secure attachment, however, are more likely to stay engaged and work through disagreements constructively. By understanding these patterns, you can start to see disagreements not as threats, but as opportunities to deepen your connection, if handled with awareness and care. Recognizing the influence of attachment on conflict responses is the first step toward managing disagreements more effectively, turning moments of tension into chances for growth rather than destruction. Knowing your own tendencies can help you pause before reacting impulsively, giving you a chance to choose a more helpful response. Managing disagreements in a way that preserves trust often involves clear, honest communication. When a conflict arises, speaking from your own feelings rather than assigning blame helps prevent defensiveness. Using I statements like "I felt hurt when," rather than "you always," keeps the focus on your experience rather than criticizing the other person. Listening actively, really paying attention to what your friend is saying without interrupting, builds understanding and reduces misunderstandings. Sometimes, taking a short break from the discussion allows emotions to settle, preventing escalation and giving both sides a chance to think more clearly. Remember, it's okay to disagree. What matters is how you handle those disagreements. Showing respect, avoiding harsh language, and refraining from personal attacks encourage your friend to stay open and engaged, fostering ongoing trust. Another useful approach is to focus on common goals, your friendship's health and longevity, rather than winning an argument. When you're in conflict, ask yourself what you want from the relationship and what would help both of you feel heard and valued. It's often helpful to agree on some ground rules beforehand, like agreeing to pause if things get too heated or to avoid bringing up past issues that aren't relevant to the current disagreement. Emphasizing empathy can also deepen your connection. Try to see things from your friend's perspective as best as you can. Sometimes, resolving a disagreement involves compromise, but it always requires respect and a genuine desire to understand each other better. Rebuilding trust after a conflict can be quick if both parties acknowledge their mistakes and apologize sincerely, showing that the relationship remains a priority. Practicing these strategies consistently can make disagreements less intimidating and more productive. Remember, it's not about avoiding conflict altogether, but about handling it in ways that strengthen your bond rather than weaken it. When conflicts are managed with kindness, patience, and clear communication, they can serve as opportunities to reinforce trust and deepen your friendship rather than create distances. Chapter 6: Attachment and Family Relationships. Parent-child dynamics. Attachment styles are formed in early childhood through interactions with caregivers. These early experiences shape how children view themselves and their relationships with others. When parents are responsive and attentive to their child's needs, the child develops a secure attachment style. This secure base provides emotional safety, allowing the child to explore their environment and build confidence. Conversely, inconsistent or neglectful parenting can lead to anxious or avoidant attachment styles, where children feel uncertainty about their emotional safety. Understanding these early interactions emphasizes the importance of nurturing responsiveness in parent-child relationships. The development of healthy attachment is crucial for emotional security. Parents who practice attunement, being in tune with their child's emotional state, create a nurturing environment. This approach allows children to express their feelings without fear of judgment. For instance, when a child falls and cries, a responsive parent who comforts the child fosters a sense of safety and acceptance. As the child grows, this foundation encourages them to build healthy relationships with peers and adults alike. The attachment style developed in childhood often carries into adulthood, influencing how individuals approach their own parenting. Adults with secure attachment styles tend to be more nurturing and sensitive to their children's needs. In contrast, those with anxious or avoidant styles may struggle with emotional availability, possibly replicating the same patterns they experienced as children. For example, an avoidantly attached parent might withdraw from their child during moments of need, creating a cycle of emotional distance. Breaking this cycle requires conscious effort and reflection. One effective strategy is for parents to recognize their own attachment patterns and seek to understand how these patterns affect their parenting style. Engaging in open conversations with their children about feelings can encourage emotional intelligence and connection. This means allowing children to express themselves and validating their emotions, which builds trust and security. Creating a healthier parent-child dynamic also involves establishing consistent routines and boundaries. Children thrive on stability and predictability, which reinforces their sense of safety. Regularly spending quality time together fosters connection and understanding. Simple activities like reading together or engaging in family discussions help strengthen the bond and instill a sense of belonging. Even for those who may not have experienced secure attachments in their own upbringing, it is possible to cultivate healthier relationships. Learning about attachment styles and incorporating strategies from this knowledge can lead to significant improvements in family dynamics. Seeking therapy or counseling is also a beneficial step for parents who recognize negative patterns in their interactions. Ultimately, fostering a secure attachment in children is an investment in their emotional well-being and future relationships. Parents who practice responsiveness, create a safe environment, and engage with their children's emotions can significantly influence their child's development. Understanding and nurturing these dynamics lays a solid foundation for a more prosperous and fulfilling life for both parents and children. Sibling relationships. Attachment styles play a powerful role in the way siblings relate to one another within a family. Each child carries their own attachment experiences, often rooted in early interactions with their caregivers. These early patterns shape how siblings communicate, trust, and support each other. For example, a sibling with a secure attachment might approach conflicts calmly and seek to resolve differences, while someone with an anxious attachment may become clingy or overly concerned about approval. On the other hand, avoidant attachment can lead to emotional distance or reluctance to share feelings, even among siblings who live under the same roof. Since attachment styles influence emotional responses and expectations, they create a unique push and pull in sibling relationships. Siblings can mirror or clash based on their attachment patterns, sometimes intensifying rivalry or misunderstanding. When one sibling has a secure base, they might become a source of comfort for a more anxious or avoidant sibling, but without awareness, differences can also increase tension. The family environment, including parental behavior and how conflicts have been managed, also shapes these interactions. Sibling relationships don't exist in isolation. They reflect the attachment climate of the entire family unit. Sibling rivalry often reflects deeper attachment needs. For instance, if resources like affection or attention feel scarce, siblings may compete more fiercely, reflecting anxious attachment concerns about being left out or unloved. Conversely, siblings with avoidant tendencies might withdraw, leading to emotional distance and minimal communication. The blend of these styles creates a complex system where each person's attachment affects the overall family dynamic, making sibling relationships a mirror of both individual and shared attachment histories. Understanding how attachment styles show up among siblings is key to improving these relationships. Awareness begins with noticing how siblings express their needs and manage conflict. For example, a sibling who frequently seeks reassurance may be showing signs of anxious attachment, while another who avoids talking about emotions may lean toward avoidance. Recognizing these patterns can reduce frustration and open the way for more empathy. When confronted with miscommunication, siblings can learn to pause and consider underlying feelings rather than reacting to surface behaviors. Building stronger sibling relationships often involves creating safe spaces for honest communication and emotional support. Encouraging siblings to share their experiences and feelings without judgment helps them respond with greater understanding. Addressing attachment challenges also requires patience, since deep-rooted patterns don't change overnight. Setting boundaries that promote respect, while offering consistent support, can make differences easier to navigate. Families can encourage moments of connection, such as shared activities or rituals, to foster security and reinforce positive interactions. Practical steps include modeling healthy emotional expression and conflict resolution so siblings have examples to follow. When caregivers reflect on their own attachment styles and how those influence parenting, they can better support sibling relationships. It's helpful to remind siblings that their different ways of relating are not personal faults, but part of how they have learned to connect with the world. This mindset opens room for forgiveness, curiosity, and growth. Over time, siblings can build resilience by learning to meet each other's needs more effectively, turning past difficulties into opportunities for deeper trust. Extended family interactions. Our attachment styles can significantly influence how we relate to extended family members, including grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other relatives. For individuals with secure attachment, interactions tend to be easier and more positive, marked by trust and a sense of belonging. They are often comfortable sharing feelings, seeking support when needed, and engaging in meaningful conversations. On the other hand, those with anxious attachment might feel unsure about their place within the family, often craving reassurance and fearing rejection or being ignored by relatives. Avoidant individuals may keep a distance, finding it difficult to connect deeply or sharing personal thoughts openly, which can lead to emotional barriers within these relationships. Recognizing these patterns can help us understand the underlying dynamics and the emotional comfort or discomfort we experience when engaging with extended family members. Fostering healthy relationships with extended family calls for awareness of our attachment tendencies and their impact on communication. When conflicts arise, attachment patterns can influence how we respond. Someone with anxious tendencies might interpret neutral comments as criticism, leading to defensiveness or hurt feelings. Those with avoidance styles might dismiss concerns or withdraw altogether, avoiding the conflict. Learning to recognize these reactions allows us to approach disagreements with more patience and clarity. Effective communication involves expressing our feelings honestly, listening carefully, and setting boundaries that honor both our needs and those of others. Cultivating empathy and understanding helps create space for genuine connection, even when differences or misunderstandings occur. It's important to remember that extended family relationships can be sources of support and joy, but they also require effort, awareness, and sometimes boundaries to stay healthy. Chapter 7: Impact of Attachment on Self-Perception. Self-esteem and attachment. Attachment styles play a significant role in shaping self-esteem and influencing how individuals perceive their self-worth. People with secure attachment styles generally exhibit high self-esteem. They feel worthy of love and support, which reflects how they relate to others. On the contrary, individuals with anxious attachment styles often struggle with self-doubt. They may view themselves as unlovable or inadequate, resulting in an unstable sense of self-worth. Those with avoidant attachment styles may hide their feelings, leading to a false sense of independence, but underneath, they may battle with low self-esteem. The connection between attachment and self-esteem is often rooted in early relationships with caregivers. For example, a nurturing and responsive caregiver fosters a sense of security in a child, encouraging healthy self-esteem as the child matures. In contrast, a lack of responsiveness or inconsistent care can make a child feel unworthy or insecure, which can persist into adulthood and affect how they engage in relationships. When considering personal development, self-perception significantly influences growth. Individuals with low self-esteem, shaped by insecure attachment styles, may hesitate to pursue new opportunities or engage in challenging tasks. They might avoid social interactions or refuse to take risks, fearing rejection or failure. In relationships, this can lead to patterns of clinginess or avoidance that create cycles of conflict and dissatisfaction. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward breaking free from negative cycles. On the other hand, individuals with high self-esteem, rooted in secure attachment, often exhibit a positive approach to relationships. They are usually open to communication, set healthy boundaries, and seek constructive feedback. This openness can foster deeper connections, allowing both partners to feel valued and understood. Moreover, they possess a greater ability to cope with difficulties, viewing challenges as growth opportunities rather than threats. Understanding the interplay between attachment and self-esteem also extends to how people handle rejection or criticism. Individuals with secure attachment are more resilient in face of relational setbacks. They do not tie their self-worth to others' perceptions, maintaining a stable view of themselves regardless of external feedback. Conversely, those with insecure attachment styles may view rejection as confirmation of their worst fears about themselves, further fueling anxiety and insecurity. Self-reflection and personal growth often begin with examining one's attachment style and its effects on self-esteem. This awareness can lead to healthier behaviors and thought patterns. Practicing self-compassion can help individuals reconcile negative self-perceptions, allowing them to recognize their inherent worth. Engaging in positive self-talk can reshape internal narratives, reinforcing a more accurate and loving view of oneself. An effective way to encourage self-esteem growth is to seek supportive relationships that promote positive reinforcement. Surrounding oneself with encouraging individuals provides a sense of security and validation. Engaging in therapy or support groups can also provide a safe space to explore feelings related to attachment and self-perception. Overall, building strong, healthy relationships with oneself and others is key to fostering self-esteem. As you reflect on your attachment style and its influence on self-esteem, Consider identifying areas where you can challenge negative beliefs about yourself. Setting small, achievable goals can build confidence over time. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small, and remind yourself that you are worthy of love and connection. Such practices create a more resilient sense of self, enabling richer, more fulfilling relationships. Emotional regulation. Our ability to manage emotions is deeply shaped by the way we form attachments early in life. Attachment styles, secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized, impact how we handle stress, frustration, and overwhelming feelings. For example, people with a secure attachment tend to recognize their emotions without becoming overwhelmed, allowing them to respond calmly in difficult situations. In contrast, those with anxious attachment often experience intense emotional highs and lows, struggling to soothe themselves when feelings run high. Avoidant individuals might suppress or disconnect from their emotions to maintain control, which can create challenges in recognizing and addressing their true needs. These patterns develop because early experiences with caregivers teach us how safe or unsafe the world feels when emotions arise. A child whose caregivers responded with comfort and understanding learns that feelings are manageable, while inconsistent or rejecting responses may push the child toward either clinging to emotions for reassurance or shutting them down entirely. As adults, these ingrained responses show up in how we regulate emotions within relationships. The way someone handles conflict, communicates feelings, or seeks support is influenced by these early attachment experiences. Emotional regulation isn't just about suppressing feelings or trying to ignore distress. It is about recognizing emotions as they occur, accepting them without harsh judgment, and choosing healthy ways to express or manage them. For example, someone with an anxious attachment style might find it difficult to calm themselves without reassurance from others, leading to heightened stress during disagreements. An avoidant person, on the other hand, might retreat emotionally to maintain distance but miss opportunities to resolve tension. Understanding these connections between attachment and emotional regulation offers a clearer path toward healthier interactions and personal well-being. Developing better emotional regulation starts with becoming aware of your attachment patterns and how they influence your feelings. Mindfulness practices can be particularly helpful here, as they teach you to notice emotions as they arise without becoming overwhelmed or reactive. For instance, taking a moment to breathe deeply and observe what you're feeling can create space between experiencing an emotion and responding impulsively. This pause allows for more thoughtful communication and decision-making, which strengthens relationships and reduces emotional turmoil. Therapies focused on attachment, such as emotionally focused therapy, EFT, or internal family systems, IFS, encourage people to connect with their core emotional experiences in a safe environment. These approaches help individuals recognize patterns of distress and work through the fears or beliefs underlying them. Learning to soothe oneself when anxiety or avoidance tendencies surface makes it possible to break free from automatic reactions. Simple strategies like journaling emotions, naming feelings aloud, or practicing self-compassion can support this process and gradually improve emotional resilience. In relationships, effective emotional regulation often involves communicating needs clearly and setting boundaries that respect everyone's well-being. People with anxious attachment may practice asking for reassurance without demanding it, while those with avoidant tendencies might work on sharing vulnerabilities without shutting down. Couples or friends can create rituals that promote emotional safety, such as regular check-ins or conflict resolution methods that prioritize listening and empathy. By steadily practicing these skills, emotional regulation becomes less about control and more about connection, allowing relationships to grow in trust and understanding. An important step in strengthening emotional regulation is learning to tolerate discomfort without seeking to immediately fix or avoid it. Pain, anger, or sadness are natural signals that something matters deeply. Accepting these feelings as part of the human experience can reduce their intensity and prevent them from triggering old attachment fears. Building this tolerance often requires patience and support, which therapy or trusted relationships can provide. Over time, the habit of facing emotions calmly fosters a more stable and fulfilling way of relating to others and yourself. Self-compassion. Our patterns of attachment from early life shape how we respond to ourselves during times of struggle or failure. People with secure attachment tend to be more gentle and forgiving when they make mistakes, understanding that flaws are part of being human. On the other hand, those with insecure attachment styles, such as anxious or avoidant, may struggle to see themselves with kindness. Anxiously attached individuals might be overly critical, feeling that they must constantly prove their worth, while avoidant individuals may dismiss their own feelings and dismiss self-compassion as unnecessary. Recognizing how these patterns influence your internal dialogue is key to understanding why some find it harder to be kind to themselves than to others. When attachment styles foster a sense of safety and acceptance, practicing self-compassion becomes easier and more natural. Without this foundation, self-criticism often dominates, making it difficult to see ourselves with the same kindness we extend to loved ones. Developing awareness of your attachment style can shed light on why self-compassion feels elusive. For example, if you grew up in an environment where your needs were unmet or dismissed, you might believe you don't deserve kindness from yourself or others. Conversely, if you experienced inconsistent caregiving, you might oscillate between trying to be perfect and avoiding feelings altogether. Understanding these origins can help you realize that certain negative reactions are rooted in past experiences rather than your true worth. Moving towards self-compassion involves identifying these patterns without judgment and recognizing that they are part of a learned response. This awareness creates the first step in transforming how you view yourself, turning internal criticism into understanding and kindness instead. Our attachment history also influences how we respond to our own emotional pain. Those with insecure attachment styles might see their feelings as invalid or burdensome, leading them to suppress or ignore their needs for comfort. This internal disconnect can make self-compassion seem like a foreign or impossible idea. Yet, by recognizing these tendencies, you can start to challenge the belief that your feelings are wrong or unworthy of care. Practicing gentle acknowledgement of your emotional experiences helps create space for kindness and acceptance. Over time, this shift can weaken the grip of critical internal voices rooted in past attachment wounds, opening the door to a more compassionate view of yourself as a whole and imperfect human being. A good starting point is to observe your internal dialogue, especially during difficult moments. Notice if you're speaking to yourself with harshness or judgment, or if you're dismissing your feelings altogether. Think of how you would respond to a close friend facing the same struggles. Most people would offer empathy and reassurance. Extend that same kindness inward. Acknowledge your feelings without criticism, recognizing that you are doing your best with the resources you have. If your attachment style tends towards self-criticism, it might be helpful to create a mental image of a compassionate caregiver, offering soothing words and gentle support whenever you notice negative thoughts arising. Repeating affirmations or compassionate phrases can also gradually rewire internal responses, building a foundation of kindness that counters old patterns of neglect or rejection. Another effective approach is to track your emotional responses and identify patterns tied to your attachment history. For example, if you notice yourself blaming or criticizing after social interactions, it may relate to fears of rejection rooted in insecure attachment. Facing these patterns with curiosity rather than judgment can help break their hold. Practicing regular self-care routines, like taking time for activities that nurture you or setting healthy boundaries, reinforces the message that you are deserving of love and kindness. Connecting with supportive people who accept you as you are can also serve as mirrors reflecting the compassion you're learning to give yourself. Over time, these small, consistent efforts can lay a stronger foundation for developing genuine self-compassion, rooted in the understanding that your worth isn't dependent on perfection or meeting external standards. Ultimately, fostering a nurturing relationship with yourself involves patience and persistence. It means gently challenging the beliefs shaped by past attachment issues and choosing to redefine your inner narrative. If you find old patterns resurfacing, remind yourself that change takes time. Engage in practices like journaling your feelings, practicing mindfulness, or seeking therapy. Any activity that helps you connect with your inner world compassionately. Remember, self-compassion is not about being perfect or ignoring faults. It's about accepting yourself fully, with all your imperfections and vulnerabilities. Each act of kindness you extend to yourself helps repair the wounds of the past and build resilience for the future. Even small gestures, like taking a moment to breathe or offering yourself kind words, are steps toward a healthier, more compassionate relationship with yourself. Chapter 8. Recognizing your attachment style. Self-assessment tools. Self-assessment tools are essential for anyone looking to understand their attachment style better. These tools provide insights into how your past experiences influence your current relationships. Knowing your attachment style can help you identify patterns in your behavior, reactions to intimacy, and responses to conflict. By recognizing these patterns, you can see how they impact your relationships with significant others, friends, and family. This knowledge empowers you to make healthier choices and fosters deeper connections with those around you. There are several effective methods for assessing your attachment style, each offering unique benefits. One common approach is questionnaires. Many online assessments guide you through a series of questions that help uncover your attachment tendencies. These questionnaires typically ask about your feelings towards relationships, how you deal with closeness, and your comfort with emotional expression. The results can offer a clear picture of your attachment style, whether it's secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. Reflection exercises are another powerful self-assessment method. These exercises prompt you to think deeply about your relationships and how you interact with others. You might write about your past experiences with caregivers or significant relationships and analyze how these experiences shaped your current behaviors. Taking time to reflect on your emotional responses in various situations can reveal recurring themes in your relationships. Professional evaluations provide a more in-depth understanding. Working with a therapist or a counselor can help you explore your attachment style in a safe environment. They can guide you in discussing your relationship history, emotional responses, and any patterns that emerge during your interactions. This personalized approach often uncovers insights that self-administered assessments might miss, allowing for a more nuanced understanding of your attachment dynamics. Incorporating these self-assessment tools into your routine can have a profound impact on your relationships. By engaging with the results of these assessments, whether through online quizzes, personal reflection, or therapy sessions, you can begin the journey of understanding your attachment style. This understanding opens the door to healthier relationships, as you learn to navigate your feelings, improve your communication, and develop a secure attachment style. To get started, consider taking one of the many online questionnaires available. Afterward, set aside time to reflect on what you've learned and how it applies to your life. This proactive step can lead to meaningful personal growth and stronger connections with others. Patterns and behaviors. Patterns in relationships often serve as clear reflections of our attachment styles, quietly shaping how we connect with others across different situations. For those with a secure attachment, behaviors tend to show a balanced approach. they seek closeness without fear of losing independence and communicate their needs straightforwardly. In contrast, individuals with anxious attachment might exhibit behaviors such as frequent reassurance seeking, heightened sensitivity to perceived rejection, and a tendency to cling tightly to partners or friends. These patterns can appear as repeated cycles of worry and pursuit that feel exhausting both to the individual and those around them. On the other side, avoidant attachment often leads to distancing behaviors, where people may withdraw emotionally, resist intimacy, or downplay the importance of close relationships. This can manifest as keeping conversations superficial or maintaining physical and emotional space even when others strive for connection. These behavioral tendencies arise not just in romantic contexts, but also with family, colleagues, and friends, demonstrating that attachment styles influence all layers of human interaction. What underlies these visible actions are deep emotional responses tied to early experiences of safety or threat in relationships. For example, the anxious person's driving force is often a fear of abandonment and an urgent need to feel loved and valued, which causes hypervigilance toward any sign of rejection. This internal insecurity pushes them to act in ways that might unintentionally push others away, creating a cycle that reinforces their fears. Avoidantly attached individuals, on the other hand, might have learned early on that closeness brings discomfort, perhaps through inconsistent caregiving or emotional neglect. This leads them to suppress their feelings and prioritize self-reliance, which often translates into practical signs like reluctance to share personal details or difficulty responding to emotional intimacy. Meanwhile, securely attached people generally come from environments where responsiveness was reliable, enabling them to trust others and regulate emotions effectively. Recognizing these emotional roots helps explain why certain behaviors persist even when they cause challenges in relationships. It also clarifies that these patterns are less about selfishness or choice and more about ingrained survival strategies that once served a purpose. In daily life, small moments can reveal a lot about one's attachment style. For instance, someone anxious might repeatedly check their phone for messages from a partner or feel restless when plans change unexpectedly. Those with avoidant tendencies may decline invitations to share feelings or avoid conversations about commitment. Secure individuals, conversely, usually navigate such situations with calmness and confidence, expressing themselves without fear or withdrawal. Understanding these practical signs makes it easier to identify which attachment pattern is influencing behavior, even when the person is not fully aware of it. This awareness opens up opportunities for change, as breaking free from automatic reactions begins with recognizing their origin and how they affect relationships day to day. Being mindful of how attachment styles shape our interactions allows us to respond more thoughtfully rather than react out of habit, paving the way for healthier connections. Reflecting on past relationships. Looking back on previous relationships offers a valuable chance to notice certain patterns that might have shaped how you connect with others. For some, recurring themes emerge, such as constantly feeling neglected or, conversely, feeling overly dependent on approval. These patterns often reveal underlying attachment tendencies that influence how you behave and react in close relationships. By examining how you responded emotionally during these past experiences, you can identify whether you tended to withdraw, cling, or maintain control. Recognizing these recurring responses helps shed light on the habits you might have formed unconsciously over time. Reflecting further involves paying attention to the emotional responses that were common in previous relationships. For example, feeling anxious when your partner was distant might suggest an anxious attachment style, or feeling little attachment or emotional distance could indicate avoidant tendencies. Noticing how your feelings fluctuated, the moments of intense longing or sudden withdrawal, can illustrate how your attachment style played a role. These emotional patterns often repeat because they are rooted in deep-seated beliefs about ourselves and others. Recognizing such patterns can be a powerful step toward understanding why relationships felt familiar or sometimes challenging. It's also helpful to look for common themes that appeared across different relationships. Perhaps you consistently sought reassurance, found it difficult to trust, or struggled to set boundaries. Maybe you noticed a tendency to repeat arguments or forget important details about your partner's needs. These themes often point to attachment-related fears or desires that influence how you interact with others. Sometimes, familiar conflicts or emotions reflect unresolved issues from earlier life experiences. Becoming aware of these themes can help you see how your attachment style influences your current relationship patterns, giving you insight into why certain behaviors persist. Reviewing past relationships isn't about blaming yourself, but rather understanding the roots of your relational habits. Think of it as piecing together a puzzle. Each experience reveals clues about your attachment needs and fears. You might recall times when you felt secure and loved, or moments when you felt lonely, misunderstood, or rejected. Recognizing what triggered those feelings allows you to see how your attachment tendencies contributed to the overall pattern. Over time, this kind of reflection becomes a tool for making more conscious choices about how you want to relate to others in the future. In addition, consider how your past relationships affected your expectations of future partners. Did you expect disappointment? Were you surprised when someone was trustworthy? Or did you hold on to hope despite red flags? These expectations often are shaped by attachment styles that develop early in life and become reinforced through repeated experiences. Examining your past helps you see if certain beliefs about love and connection are limiting or helpful. As you become more aware, you can start to challenge unhelpful patterns and develop healthier ways of relating in future relationships. One practical tip is to write about your past relationships and note recurring patterns, emotional responses, and themes. This process helps you process your experiences and see connections you might not have noticed before. It can also serve as a foundation for intentional growth and change. Recognizing the influence of your attachment style is a first step toward building stronger, more secure connections moving forward. Chapter 9. Changing Your Attachment Style. Therapeutic Interventions. These interventions can guide individuals toward understanding their attachment patterns and the impacts these patterns have on their relationships. By exploring one's past experiences, individuals can better comprehend how their attachment style was formed and how it might affect their interactions today. This heightened awareness is essential for anyone looking to forge healthier relationships. While it can be challenging to confront these emotions, therapeutic methods offer a safe environment for this exploration, aiming to promote emotional healing and relational improvement. Psychotherapy often allows for a deep dive into personal history, enabling a person to connect their early attachment experiences with their current behaviors and feelings. Emotion-focused therapy focuses on validating emotions, encouraging people to express and understand their feelings, thus allowing them to respond to others from a more balanced emotional state. Attachment-based counseling directly addresses the attachment styles, helping individuals recognize patterns and replace them with healthier approaches. Each of these modalities offers unique strategies and insights, contributing to an individual's journey toward more secure and satisfying relationships. Therapists working within these frameworks often employ various techniques tailored to the client's specific needs. Regular check-ins, emotion regulation skills, and interpersonal exercises can help build trust and foster a sense of safety. The therapist-client relationship itself can serve as a model for healthy attachments, giving clients a live example to observe and learn from. Techniques such as role-playing can also be used to help clients practice new ways of relating to others within a controlled and supportive environment. Keeping a journal can also be immensely beneficial, allowing individuals to track their thoughts, feelings, and progress over time. This form of self-reflection can help reinforce positive changes and build confidence in new behaviors. By incorporating these strategies into one's life, a person can gradually reshape their attachment style, promoting healthier interactions and deeper emotional connections. Developing secure attachments. Secure attachments create a solid ground where trust, intimacy, and emotional safety can flourish. Without this foundation, relationships tend to face misunderstandings, anxiety, or feelings of disconnection. When you develop a secure attachment style, you learn to approach your connections with confidence and openness, allowing both you and those around you to feel safe in expressing emotions and sharing vulnerabilities. This kind of security doesn't mean perfection or the absence of conflict, but rather a capacity to handle difficulties without fear of rejection or abandonment. Developing secure attachments shapes how you relate not just to romantic partners, but also to family members, friends, and colleagues. It influences how you communicate, how you respond when others are distressed, and how you manage your own emotional needs. Those with secure attachments tend to enjoy better mental health, experience less stress, and report greater satisfaction across many areas of life. Because secure attachment teaches resilience and balance, it can act as a buffer against life's inevitable challenges and setbacks within relationships. Understanding this need for secure attachments helps explain why some people may feel stuck in unhealthy relationship patterns despite their best efforts. These patterns often stem from early experiences that left their needs unmet or misunderstood. Recognizing that secure attachment can be learned and strengthened at any stage provides hope and clarity. It brings awareness to what can be changed and nurtured, rather than focusing solely on past hurts or fixed labels. Building secure attachments starts with developing a stable and compassionate relationship with yourself. This means becoming aware of your emotional responses and learning to soothe your own anxieties rather than reacting impulsively. Practices like mindfulness or journaling can help you notice your feelings and patterns without judgment. When you understand your triggers and emotional needs, you are better equipped to communicate them clearly and calmly. Trust grows through consistent, reliable actions over time. Showing up for others as promised and expressing your feelings honestly encourages mutual openness. But before you can rely on others, there has to be trust in your own ability to manage emotional ups and downs. Setting small, achievable goals around self-care or emotional expression can boost your confidence in handling intimacy. For instance, allowing yourself to ask for help when needed or admitting vulnerability in safe environments strengthens your sense of safety. Engaging in conversations that focus on understanding rather than judgment helps deepen connections. When emotions run high, pausing to listen fully rather than rushing to fix or defend nurtures a sense of being valued. It's also useful to recognize when old attachment fears might surface, like anxiety about abandonment or feelings of emotional distance, and to address those fears directly by speaking about them with trusted people. Repeated positive experiences like these foster trust, which is the backbone of secure relationships. Another way to develop secure attachments is by creating boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Boundaries clarify what you need and expect from relationships, distinguishing healthy support from overdependence or avoidance. They help maintain your identity and respect within connections so that closeness doesn't become overwhelming or unsafe. Practicing clear communication about limits allows relationships to grow without confusion or resentment. It's helpful to remember that growing towards attachment security takes time and patience. You may face setbacks or uncomfortable moments as you challenge old habits and beliefs. Treating yourself with kindness during these times encourages persistence. Reflect regularly on your progress and stay open to learning about yourself and your relationships. Consistent effort in these areas gradually builds the secure foundation from which healthier, more satisfying relationships become possible. Practical exercises. Building awareness about your attachment style starts with honest reflection. Take time to think about how you behave in close relationships and what feelings tend to come up during different interactions. For example, do you find yourself becoming anxious when a loved one is unavailable, or do you withdraw when conflicts arise? Journaling these experiences can be especially helpful, allowing you to notice recurring patterns over days or weeks. As you write, pay attention to your emotional reactions and the thoughts that accompany them. Over time, this practice helps you understand whether you're leaning towards secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized attachment styles. Another useful step is to ask yourself specific questions as you reflect. How do I respond when I feel rejected or misunderstood? Do I seek reassurance or pull away? What triggers feelings of insecurity or independence? Recognize the circumstances that tend to evoke certain responses. This process isn't about judging yourself, but about gathering insight into your natural tendencies. Sometimes, it's helpful to talk this through with a therapist or trusted friend who can provide a different perspective. The key is consistency. Making reflection a regular part of your routine will gradually illuminate your attachment patterns more clearly. It's also valuable to review past relationship experiences and notice any common themes. Think about the ways you handled loyalty, conflict, intimacy, or distance. Do you tend to cling or push away? Are there specific fears that show up repeatedly? Identifying these can reveal underlying beliefs that influence your current behavior. Keep in mind that attachment styles are flexible. Recognizing your patterns is the first step toward making conscious changes. Practice patience with yourself as you piece together your attachment story, and remember that awareness is a crucial foundation for growth. Once you've gained insight into your attachment tendencies, the next step is to actively modify the behaviors and thoughts that limit secure connection. Start by challenging negative beliefs that fuel insecurity, such as "I am not worthy of love" or "people will abandon me." Replace these with affirmations rooted in self-compassion and trust. For example, remind yourself that you deserve kindness and that healthy relationships are built on mutual support. Practice noticing when you have an automatic response driven by old attachment fears and pause before reacting. This pause allows you to choose a more balanced, secure-minded response instead of defaulting to old habits. Engaging in small behavioral experiments can be very effective. For example, if you tend to withdraw when feeling upset, try expressing your feelings calmly instead. If anxieties about abandonment surface, practice reaching out to a trusted person for reassurance. These actions reinforce the idea that closeness and vulnerability are manageable, not threatening. Cognitive strategies also involve reframing thoughts during challenging moments. When you feel yourself slipping into worry or avoidance, consciously remind yourself that difficulties are normal and can be worked through. Over time, these new patterns become more automatic, gradually shifting your attachment style toward security. Practicing emotional regulation techniques such as deep breathing, mindfulness, or grounding exercises can help you stay present during intense feelings. When you notice anxiety rising, focus on your breath or 5 senses to calm your nervous system. This makes it easier to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Remember, change does not happen overnight. Consistent practice of these behaviors and thoughts lays the groundwork for healthier, more secure relationships. Keep track of your progress, celebrate small victories, and remain patient with yourself as you cultivate these new habits. Another helpful approach is to seek out safe, supportive environments where you can practice vulnerability without fear of judgment. Building connections with people who respect your boundaries and encourage openness helps reinforce your efforts. Over time, issuing gentle challenges to old patterns and celebrating successes will foster greater confidence in your ability to create secure bonds. The goal is to develop a set of behaviors and thought patterns that promote trust, openness, and self-worth, strengthening your connection to others while maintaining your emotional well-being. Chapter 10: Attachment in the Digital Age. Online relationships. Attachment styles play a crucial role in how individuals approach online relationships, whether they are looking for romance or building friendships. Those with secure attachment styles often engage comfortably with others, feeling at ease while communicating through various platforms. They are likely to express their thoughts and emotions openly, creating a foundation of trust from the start. In contrast, individuals with anxious attachment may find the online space daunting. They might obsess over messages or become overly concerned about not receiving immediate replies. Their fears can manifest as jealousy or insecurity, influencing how they interpret interactions. Similarly, avoidant individuals may struggle to connect deeply. They often prefer superficial interactions, avoiding personal topics that might lead to vulnerability. It's important to understand that online communication lacks many nonverbal cues present in face-to-face interactions, which can heighten misunderstandings for those with different attachment styles. For example, a securely attached person might easily read a supportive tone in a message, while an anxiously attached person may interpret the same message as dismissive. Avoidant individuals may misread the emotional intensity of others, retreating further into their shells. These differences can lead to patterns where anxiously attached individuals chase after responses and avoidant individuals pull away, creating a cycle of miscommunication and conflict. Digital platforms present unique challenges that can either hinder or enhance relationship development depending on an individual's attachment style. For example, the anonymity of online dating can make it easier for people to present an idealized version of themselves. While this can empower individuals to step out of their comfort zones, it can also lead to disillusionment when the reality fails to match expectations. Anxiously attached individuals may experience heightened anxiety as they navigate the complexities of online communication, finding it difficult to decipher someone's true intentions through text alone. Moreover, the possibility of misinterpretation is high, which may amplify insecurities and fears related to rejection. On the flip side, the digital age has made it easier than ever to connect with others. There are countless platforms catering to different interests and demographics, allowing individuals to find like-minded people. For those with anxious attachments, these platforms can offer a sense of community and affirmation, helping them to feel understood. Avoidant individuals, while still navigating their challenges, might find that online interactions allow them to open up at their own pace, gradually moving toward deeper connections without the immediate pressures of in-person meetings. Furthermore, online relationships can provide a space for individuals to practice communication skills. For those wanting to work on their anxious attachment tendencies, using instant messaging or video calls can help them develop their voice and assert their needs without feeling overwhelmed. For avoidant types, the option to engage in less intensive interactions can serve as a buffer while they learn to navigate emotional intimacy. In managing online relationships effectively, it can help to take a moment before reacting to messages. Understanding your attachment style allows for recognizing triggers and patterns. If you have an anxious attachment style, consider taking a break from checking your messages constantly. This can mitigate feelings of anxiety. For individuals with avoidant tendencies, setting boundaries around communication can help ease the pressure of constant engagement, allowing for meaningful interactions on your terms. Remembering that everyone has different communication styles can also pave the way for more compassionate exchanges. Lastly, fostering self-awareness about your attachment patterns can lead to healthier online engagements. Evaluating how your attachment style influences your online behavior can prevent misunderstandings and enhance connections. Stay open to feedback and take time to reflect on your feelings to ensure your online relationships evolve positively. Social media's role. Social media has fundamentally changed how people seek connection with others, influencing the way attachment needs reveal themselves. The instant access to likes, comments, and messages can heighten feelings of validation or rejection, often magnifying underlying insecurities. People with anxious attachment styles may find themselves constantly checking their feeds for affirmation, while those with avoidant tendencies might use social media as a way to keep relationships at a comfortable distance without direct confrontation. This constant exposure to curated versions of other people's lives can lead to comparison and self-doubt, affecting how secure someone feels in their relationships. The nature of social media encourages quick interactions, which can feel powerful but often lack the depth needed to truly satisfy emotional needs. For example, receiving a large number of likes might temporarily boost self-esteem but does not replace genuine emotional bonding. Many users find themselves caught in a cycle where the pursuit of online approval fuels anxiety and emotional dependency. This effect is even stronger when attachment styles are taken into account, as digital platforms tend to amplify the behaviors and reactions that come from those internal patterns. Social media's role in shaping how we connect is complex, acting both as a bridge and a barrier between true intimacy and superficial interactions. By becoming aware of how digital interactions affect feelings and behaviors, individuals can start to identify unhealthy patterns tied to their attachment style. For example, someone with a fearful attachment style might notice they avoid engaging in meaningful conversations on social media, while someone with a secure attachment might use these platforms to enhance their connections without becoming overly dependent. Understanding these responses can serve as a mirror, highlighting where personal growth is needed and suggesting when online behavior is replacing face-to-face intimacy in unhelpful ways. Learning to set boundaries with social media use can help create a healthier balance between online and offline relationships. Mindful practices such as limiting time spent scrolling, reflecting on what triggers feelings of insecurity, and choosing quality over quantity in interactions encourage more genuine connection. When people recognize how their attachment patterns show up in the digital world, they have the chance to make conscious choices that support emotional well-being. This may involve reaching out to others in real life rather than relying only on virtual validation or taking breaks from social media when it fuels anxiety or comparison. Small adjustments, like expressing vulnerability in conversations or focusing on deeper connections rather than surface-level validation, help foster healthier attachments. Using social media as a tool for genuine support rather than a source of constant reassurance can strengthen relationships. Overall, awareness and intention go a long way toward transforming the impact of social media from a source of insecurity to one of connection and growth. Maintaining authentic connections. Digital communication has transformed the way we connect, making it easier to stay in touch over long distances and maintain relationships that once might have faded due to physical separation. However, these quick exchanges can sometimes feel superficial or disconnected from the true emotional depth that authentic relationships require. It's easy to fall into patterns of passing messages without truly engaging or expressing genuine feelings, which can hinder the development of trust and intimacy. Being mindful of how we communicate online means paying attention to the quality of our interactions instead of just the quantity. Taking the time to reflect on whether our messages are honest and considerate encourages deeper connection, even when mediated through screens. Genuine engagement online involves more than just responding. It requires active listening and thoughtful responses that show real interest. Meaningful conversations happen when we ask open-ended questions, share personal stories, and validate the feelings of others. It's also crucial to be aware of our tone. since digital platforms can easily lead to misunderstandings without the nuances of voice or body language. Practicing mindfulness in digital spaces can help us recognize when our interactions are becoming just habit or obligation rather than authentic connection. Remembering that behind every message is a person with feelings encourages us to communicate with sincerity and attentiveness. Balancing digital and in-person communication enhances the authenticity of our relationships. While social media and messaging apps make it convenient to stay connected, they shouldn't replace face-to-face interactions that foster deeper understanding. Setting intentional limits on screen time allows us to be more present during offline conversations, which can strengthen bonds. When engaging online, opting for video calls or voice chats over typed messages searches for more personal, sincere exchanges. This effort signals to loved ones that we value genuine connection and are willing to invest time and effort into it. Ultimately, combining mindful use of technology with meaningful in-person interactions helps nurture healthier relationships rooted in authenticity. Making a conscious effort to prioritize quality over quantity in digital communication can greatly enhance relationships. This can involve setting aside specific times to have undistracted conversations where both parties focus on listening and sharing. When chatting online, expressing sincerity through personalized messages rather than generic replies creates a sense of closeness and understanding. Incorporating other forms of communication, like video calls or handwritten notes, adds authenticity that typed messages can sometimes lack. It's also helpful to acknowledge feelings openly and validate each other's experiences, which encourages trust and emotional safety. Small acts like remembering important dates or offering genuine support strengthen the foundation of any connection. Practically, maintaining healthy attachments through digital channels requires awareness of one's own attachment style and how it influences online behavior. For those with anxious tendencies, setting boundaries on social media use can prevent feelings of dependence or insecurity. Avoiding overly reactive responses and taking time to reflect before replying cultivates a calmer and more authentic exchange. For individuals with avoidant attachment, making an effort to share honestly and show vulnerability can help build trust gradually. Offline, creating shared experiences, like engaging in hobbies or spending quality time, can deepen bonds and reinforce the connection beyond screens. Ultimately, a balanced approach that combines mindful digital habits with meaningful offline interactions supports relationships that are genuine and resilient. A practical tip is to develop a habit of checking in with loved ones in a way that emphasizes understanding rather than just updating. For example, instead of asking, "How was your day?" try, "What was the highlight for you today?" or "How are you feeling about that?" These questions invite more heartfelt responses and demonstrate genuine interest. Remember that authentic connections thrive on consistency and honesty. Making a habit of giving undivided attention during interactions, whether online or offline, reinforces the sense that you value the relationship. Small daily acts of kindness and attentiveness can significantly deepen bonds, leading to relationships built on trust and real emotional connection. Chapter 11. Challenges and Obstacles. Overcoming fear of intimacy. Fear of intimacy is deeply rooted in our early life experiences and is heavily influenced by our attachment styles. Attachment theory suggests that the bonds we form in childhood with our primary caregivers shape our approach to relationships in adulthood. For instance, those with anxious attachment may crave closeness but fear it simultaneously. On the other hand, individuals with avoidant attachment often distance themselves from emotional connections due to a fear of vulnerability. Recognizing these patterns is essential in understanding why intimacy can feel daunting. Experiences such as neglect, unstable relationships, or trauma may contribute to fears surrounding intimacy. Often, people develop coping mechanisms to protect themselves from emotional pain, which can manifest as avoidance or withdrawal in relationships. This cycle not only prevents deep connections, but also perpetuates feelings of loneliness and isolation. Understanding these roots is the first step in addressing and overcoming the fear of intimacy. By acknowledging how past experiences influence current behaviors, individuals can start to reframe their perceptions of intimacy. Overcoming the fear of intimacy involves both personal introspection and practical strategies to foster healthier relationships. One effective approach is developing emotional awareness. This means recognizing and naming your feelings when you sense fear or discomfort in intimate situations. Journaling can be a helpful tool for this. Writing your thoughts can clarify your emotions and patterns, making them easier to address. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is another beneficial method. This therapy focuses on identifying negative thought patterns and replacing them with positive affirmations. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "If I get close to someone, I will get hurt," a therapist can help you challenge this belief and substitute it with, "Intimacy can lead to meaningful connections." Practicing mindfulness can also reduce anxiety associated with intimacy. Techniques such as meditation or deep breathing exercises help ground you in the present moment, allowing you to approach relationships more calmly. Lastly, cultivating gradual exposure to intimacy can make it feel less intimidating. Start with small acts of openness, like sharing a personal story with a friend or expressing a need in a relationship. As your comfort grows, you can gradually increase the depth of your disclosures. Building a support network of trustworthy friends or engaging in supportive group therapy can also provide a sense of safety while working through fears. Remember, progress is often not linear, and being patient with yourself is key to overcoming the fear of intimacy. Ultimately, embracing vulnerability is essential. Allowing yourself to experience connections and the inherent risks that come with them can lead to richer, more fulfilling relationships. Recognizing that intimacy allows both joy and growth can shift your perspective, making it easier to move past fear. Dealing with past trauma. Past trauma can leave deep marks that affect how people relate to others long after the events have passed. When someone experiences hurt, neglect, or loss early in life, it can influence their attachment style, the way they connect and feel safe in relationships. These early wounds may create patterns of mistrust, fear of abandonment, or difficulty opening up emotionally. For example, someone with anxious attachment might constantly worry about being rejected because of unresolved pain, while someone with avoidant attachment may shut down emotionally to protect themselves from getting hurt again. The emotional ripples from trauma often extend beyond relationships. They can affect self-esteem, trigger anxiety or depression, and create a sense of being trapped in the past. Trauma reshapes how individuals interpret others' actions and intentions, sometimes causing misunderstandings or overreactions in everyday interactions. These reactions are not simply choices, but are tied to survival instincts developed to cope with painful experiences. Without recognizing the roots of these feelings, it becomes challenging to break free from unhealthy cycles in relationships. Understanding trauma's role in shaping attachment gives clarity to emotional struggles that might otherwise seem confusing or unfair. It highlights that behaviors often labeled as difficult are responses built to navigate deep-seated fears and unmet needs. Recognizing the connection between trauma and attachment can foster greater compassion for oneself and others, opening the door to healing and growth. Healing from past trauma requires deliberate effort and patience. The first step involves gently acknowledging the pain instead of pushing it away or blaming oneself. Processing trauma often means revisiting difficult memories with the support of therapy, trusted friends, or support groups. Talking about what happened and how it affected you helps reduce the power those experiences hold. This process makes it easier to see patterns in relationships and recognize when old wounds influence current feelings and actions. Building healthier relationships starts with creating safety within yourself. Developing self-awareness allows you to notice when traumatic feelings surface and gives you space to respond instead of react. Techniques like mindfulness and grounding exercises help stay present and prevent being overwhelmed by past memories or future fears. Learning how to set boundaries reinforces this inner safety, making it possible to engage with others without losing yourself. Changing attachment styles influenced by trauma is a gradual process. It involves replacing old habits with new ways of relating that foster trust and openness. Practicing vulnerability with people who show consistency and respect can slowly rewrite your internal blueprint for connection. This might mean choosing relationships where emotional needs are met rather than avoided, even if the change feels uncomfortable at first. Healing also includes forgiving yourself for behaviors born out of pain and allowing space for growth rather than perfection. It can be helpful to focus on moments of genuine connection when working through trauma's impact. A small gesture of kindness or understanding from someone can provide evidence that relationships don't have to be a source of fear or pain. These experiences build resilience and reinforce the belief that healthy relationships are possible. While the past shapes the present, each new interaction offers a chance to rewrite your story with trust, safety, and fulfillment. One useful tip for dealing with past trauma is to keep a journal of emotional triggers and how you respond. Writing down moments when you feel caught in old patterns can help you spot recurring themes and recognize progress. Over time, this practice can create a clearer picture of where healing is needed and remind you of how far you've come in developing healthier ways to connect. Managing anxiety in relationships. Many people experience anxiety in their relationships, but understanding where that anxiety comes from can make a significant difference. Often, it stems from early experiences with caregivers, shaping how we view ourselves and others. If a person grew up feeling unimportant or uncertain about love's stability, they may carry those feelings into adult connections. This internal sense of insecurity can trigger fears of abandonment, rejection, or loss, which in turn creates a cycle of worry and mistrust. Recognizing these roots helps clarify why some relationships feel more stressful or uncertain than they should. Attachment styles play a key role in how this anxiety manifests and how individuals respond to their partner's actions. For example, someone with an anxious attachment style might constantly seek reassurance, feeling convinced that their partner's affection isn't enough or might disappear at any moment. On the other hand, those with avoidant tendencies might withdraw or dismiss feelings to protect themselves from potential hurt. These patterns influence how people interpret normal relationship behaviors and often escalate fears unnecessarily. By understanding your attachment style, you can begin to see how past experiences color current interactions and emotional reactions. It's important to see anxiety not just as a personal issue, but as a pattern rooted in past experiences. When fear dominates, it can lead to behaviors like excessive checking, jealousy, or withdrawal, which strain the relationship over time. Sometimes, the partner might not even realize the fear is present, leading to misunderstandings and frustration. Acknowledging that these feelings are often rooted in past wounds rather than current realities frees us from the illusion that the immediate threat is always there. Instead, we start to see anxiety as something to manage rather than something to fear or hide. Additionally, recognizing the impact of anxiety involves understanding how it affects communication. When anxious feelings take hold, they can distort perceptions, making neutral comments seem threatening or dismissive. This can create unnecessary conflicts or feelings of distance. Over time, these triggers may lead to a cycle where both partners feel misunderstood or unappreciated. Awareness of these dynamics helps couples identify when anxiety is influencing their interactions, allowing them to step back and assess whether their worries are based on real issues or just internal fears. Managing relationship anxiety begins with a conscious effort to become aware of these patterns. Learning to notice when anxiety floods your thoughts and emotions provides a foundation for change. It also involves understanding that anxiety is a normal part of human experience. Everyone feels it at times, but it shouldn't control your relationship. When you can identify that your fears are rooted in past experiences rather than current reality, you gain more control over how you respond. Recognizing the link between your attachment history and your feelings gives you a roadmap for healing and growth within your connections. One of the most effective ways to handle relationship anxiety is to develop a habit of open and honest communication. Sharing your fears and concerns with your partner without blame or accusations allows you to build understanding rather than distance. When your partner knows what triggers your anxiety, they can offer reassurance or respond in a way that helps soothe your worries. This creates a safer space where both of you can express vulnerability and work together through difficult emotions. Practicing self-soothing techniques can significantly reduce anxiety levels. Simple practices like deep breathing, mindfulness, or even grounding exercises help calm the nervous system and prevent reactive behaviors. When anxiety starts to rise, pausing for a moment to breathe deeply or focus on the present prevents getting caught in spirals of worry. Over time, these small acts strengthen your ability to manage intense feelings independently, which reduces the pressure on your relationship and fosters a sense of security. Building trust is another essential component. Trust develops gradually through consistency, reliability, and patience. When both partners commit to being dependable and respectful, it creates a foundation of security that counters anxious tendencies. These efforts don't have to be perfect. Imperfections are normal. The key is to stay committed to showing up with honesty and kindness, even during challenging moments. Trust grows when both people feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or rejection. Creating routines can also provide reassurance. Simple habits, such as checking in regularly, planning quality time together, or establishing shared goals, give the relationship a predictable rhythm that reduces uncertainty. Knowing that certain behaviors or rituals are dependable can ease anxiety and foster a sense of stability. At the same time, allowing room for individual independence and hobbies reinforces the idea that both partners are secure even when apart, which diminishes clingy or overly anxious behaviors. Lastly, working with a therapist or counselor trained in attachment theory can be invaluable. Professional guidance helps identify specific triggers, unearth underlying beliefs, and develop tailored strategies for managing anxiety. Therapy can also serve as a safe space to explore past wounds that contribute to present fears. Learning coping skills and gaining new perspectives from a qualified expert accelerates healing, making it easier to form secure and satisfying relationships. Remember, addressing anxiety is a process, and patience with yourself is key. A helpful practical tip is to create a personal calm kit, a set of comforting objects, quotes, or activities you associate with safety and peace. When anxiety spikes, turning to these familiar sources of comfort can help ground your emotions. Over time, these habits build resilience, making it easier to stay connected through challenging moments. Small, consistent steps toward understanding and soothing your anxiety can lead to stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships. Chapter 12: Cultivating Healthy Relationships. Building Trust and Safety. Trust and safety are key ingredients in building strong and lasting relationships. Without these elements, connections can become fragile or even break. Trust involves being able to rely on someone to act in your best interest and to be honest with you. Safety means feeling secure enough to share your thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment or betrayal. When individuals feel trusted and safe, they are more likely to open up and engage openly in the relationship, creating a deeper bond. The foundation of any healthy relationship is built on mutual trust and an environment of safety. Individuals tend to be more vulnerable when they know that their feelings will be respected and valued. This sense of emotional safety fosters communication and a willingness to resolve conflicts constructively. When both parties commit to nurturing trust and safety, they can navigate challenges more effectively and emerge stronger together, illustrating how these qualities are essential for connection. Building trust requires consistent actions that demonstrate reliability and integrity. One effective strategy is to be transparent in communication. Clear and open discussions about intentions, feelings, and expectations lay a solid groundwork for trust. When individuals share their thoughts honestly, it helps to eliminate misunderstandings and establishes a clearer connection. Ensuring that all parties are involved in decision-making can further enhance trust, as it shows that everyone's input is valued. Another important aspect of building trust is honoring commitments. Following through on promises, no matter how small, can significantly strengthen trust. Reliability in both words and actions sends a strong message that one can be depended upon. If a situation arises where a commitment cannot be upheld, it is crucial to communicate this promptly and sincerely to maintain trust. Acknowledging mistakes and taking responsibility also reinforces the trust between individuals, showing that accountability is fundamental in a healthy relationship. Emotional safety, intertwined with trust, can be cultivated by encouraging open dialogue. When individuals feel comfortable sharing their feelings, it fosters deeper connections. Create an atmosphere where vulnerability is welcomed. This can involve actively listening without interrupting or offering solutions right away, instead providing space for the other person to express themselves fully. By validating each other's emotions, you create a strong sense of connection and safety. Practicing empathy is another way to build trust and safety. Make an effort to understand the other person's perspective, even if you disagree. Acknowledging their feelings and showing compassion can defuse tension and foster a more secure emotional environment. This empathetic approach not only improves mutual understanding, but also demonstrates a commitment to the relationship. In summary, trust and safety are foundational to healthy relationships. By practicing transparency, honoring commitments, encouraging open dialogue, and fostering empathy, individuals can build a lasting bond. These actions create an environment where both parties can engage deeply and respectfully, ultimately leading to stronger, more resilient relationships. Remember to regularly check in with each other to assess feelings and ensure that both partners continue to feel trusted and safe. This ongoing dialogue can help sustain the trust you have built and prevent misunderstandings from developing in the future. Effective communication skills. Communication is the foundation of every relationship, shaping how we connect, understand, and support one another. At its core, effective communication involves sharing messages in ways that build trust and bring clarity. Trust grows when people feel heard and understood without judgment, and clarity comes from expressing thoughts and feelings in ways that make sense to others. When communication breaks down or becomes confusing, relationships often suffer because misunderstandings take root and emotional distance can grow. Recognizing the key components, verbal expression, listening, and nonverbal cues, helps set the stage for interactions that bring people closer rather than pushing them apart. Words themselves carry meaning, but the way they are delivered can change that meaning dramatically. Tone, pacing, and choice of language influence how a message lands. At the same time, the ability to listen attentively plays an equally important role. When someone listens carefully and without interrupting, They offer respect and openness that encourages honesty and vulnerability, essential ingredients for trust. Nonverbal communication, such as facial expressions, body language, and eye contact, often reveals more than words ever could. Being aware of these subtleties prevents mixed messages and deepens connection by showing genuine interest and empathy. When these pieces come together, communication becomes a powerful tool for reducing conflict and increasing understanding between individuals. It allows people to share not only facts but emotions, desires, and fears in a way that nurtures relationships. This is especially true in close relationships influenced by attachment styles, where patterns of communication might be shaped by early experiences. Learning to navigate and improve these elements can transform the emotional landscape, making connections feel safer and more supportive over time. Developing strong communication skills starts with learning to listen actively. This means fully focusing on the speaker without planning your response or letting your mind wander. By giving your full attention, you're better able to understand the message and the feelings behind it. You can also encourage the speaker to share more by using gentle prompts like nods or brief verbal acknowledgments, which show you are present. Reflecting back what you heard, either by paraphrasing or summarizing, proves you are engaged and helps prevent misunderstandings before they grow. Along with listening comes the skill of expressing yourself clearly and assertively. This involves stating your thoughts and feelings openly while respecting the rights of others. It's different from being aggressive or passive. Assertive communication balances honesty with kindness. Using I statements, such as I feel or I need, helps take ownership of your experience without putting blame on others. This style of communication prevents defensive reactions and fosters mutual respect. Practicing to state your needs calmly and confidently encourages openness and creates space for genuine dialogue. Nonverbal communication is a silent language that often carries more weight than spoken words. Becoming aware of your body language and facial expressions can improve how your message is received. Sitting or standing in an open posture, maintaining comfortable eye contact, and using gestures that align with your words reinforce sincerity and attentiveness. At the same time, paying attention to the nonverbal signals of others gives valuable insight into their feelings or hesitations. By tuning into these cues, you can adjust your approach, offering reassurance or space as needed to make conversations more productive and emotionally safe. Practicing these skills regularly will gradually change the way conversations unfold in your relationships. You may notice fewer misunderstandings and a greater sense of connection during discussions that once felt challenging. Communication becomes a dance rather than a battle, with both people feeling heard and valued. Over time, this can influence deeper patterns in relationships, especially those influenced by attachment styles, allowing for more secure and trusting bonds to form. As a practical tip, try setting a goal to focus on one element at a time. Start by simply pausing before responding in conversations to make sure you have listened fully. Then practice expressing one small need or feeling clearly with an I statement during your next interaction. Finally, observe your body language in a mirror or through video to grow your awareness of nonverbal signals. These small steps make building effective communication skills manageable and help shift relationship dynamics in a positive direction. Maintaining independence. Maintaining personal boundaries is essential for preserving your sense of self while being involved with others. Boundaries act as limits that help define what feels comfortable and what doesn't, ensuring that your emotional, mental, and physical needs are respected. When boundaries are clear, they protect your independence by preventing others from overstepping and infringing on your space or well-being. Without boundaries, it's easy to become overly dependent on your partner or friends, which can lead to feelings of resentment or loss of identity. Recognizing where your boundaries lie is a crucial step toward building confidence in your ability to stand up for yourself and maintain healthy relationships. It's important to acknowledge that boundaries aren't about building walls to keep others out. Rather, they are about creating a safe and respectful space for everyone involved. For example, setting limits on how much time you spend with someone or clarifying what topics are off limits for discussion helps keep relationships balanced. Respecting your own boundaries also encourages others to do the same, fostering mutual respect. Often, boundaries are tested during stressful or emotional situations, so being clear about them beforehand makes it easier to reinforce them when necessary. Sustaining personal boundaries isn't a sign of weakness, but a way to strengthen your self-awareness and emotional stability. Understanding the importance of boundaries also involves recognizing your own needs and feelings. When you know what makes you feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed, you are better prepared to communicate those limits. This involves listening to your instincts and learning to say no without guilt. It's about valuing your time and energy as much as you value others. If you neglect your boundaries, you risk losing your sense of independence and becoming entangled in others' expectations or demands. Ensuring that boundaries are maintained consistently allows you to remain true to yourself while nurturing your relationships. Balancing emotional closeness with independence begins with clear communication and honest self-awareness. Letting your partner or friends know what you need in terms of space and support helps avoid misunderstandings. For example, sharing that you value alone time to recharge or that you appreciate independence in certain areas creates a foundation rooted in mutual respect. It's also useful to establish routines that allow for personal growth, like pursuing hobbies or spending time with friends outside the relationship. Keeping your own interests alive demonstrates that your independence isn't about distancing yourself, but about maintaining your identity within the relationship. Practicing self-reliance involves trusting your ability to handle life's challenges without constantly depending on others for validation or support. Building this trust can be achieved by setting small personal goals and following through on them. It might be as simple as managing your finances, maintaining your health routines, or making decisions on your own. The more you act independently, the more confident you become in your capacity to navigate life solo. This confidence, in turn, fosters a healthier connection with others because you're not relying solely on them for emotional stability. When both parties embrace their independence, relationships become more equal and respectful, with space for individual growth alongside shared intimacy. Another key aspect is learning to accept some level of discomfort that may come with asserting your boundaries or pursuing your personal interests. It's natural to worry about how others might perceive your need for space or independence, but standing firm reinforces your self-respect. Sharing your feelings openly and listening to your partner's needs creates a supportive environment where both can grow. Remember, independence doesn't mean detachment. It's about understanding that healthy relationships thrive on both closeness and individuality. Striking this balance requires ongoing effort and patience, but results in a partnership grounded in mutual respect, trust, and personal authenticity. Finally, a helpful tip is to regularly check in with yourself about how you feel in your relationships. Are you maintaining your boundaries? Do you feel supported in your independence? Taking time to reflect on these questions helps you stay aligned with your needs. If you notice areas where your independence or boundaries are slipping, gently reassert them. This proactive approach encourages ongoing growth and keeps your relationships healthy and respectful, allowing your independence to thrive within a connection built on trust and mutual understanding. Chapter 13: The Role of Self-Awareness. Mindfulness Practices. Mindfulness practices serve as a foundational tool for enhancing self-awareness, especially in relation to attachment styles. By being fully present in the moment, individuals can observe their thoughts, feelings, and reactions without judgment. This awareness allows for a deeper understanding of how attachment styles influence interactions and emotional responses. For instance, someone with an anxious attachment style may recognize their tendency to seek reassurance in relationships. By acknowledging these impulses, they can begin to distinguish between their fears and the actual dynamics of their relationships. The practice of mindfulness encourages individuals to pause and reflect, offering clarity that can lead to more conscious choices in how they connect with others. Specific mindfulness techniques can significantly enhance emotional regulation and foster healthier relationship patterns. One effective method is breath awareness, which involves focusing on one's breathing to anchor attention in the present. When feelings of anxiety or frustration arise, returning to this simple practice helps to create a space between emotion and reaction. Another useful technique is body scanning, where individuals mentally check in with different parts of their body to identify areas of tension or discomfort. This practice not only promotes relaxation but also reveals how emotions manifest physically, offering insights into attachments and reactions. Journaling is another mindfulness practice that encourages reflection and self-discovery. By writing down thoughts and feelings, individuals can gain perspective on their attachment styles and how these impact their relationships. Regular reflection can reveal patterns and triggers, empowering people to develop healthier responses. Mindful listening is also essential in relationships. It involves being genuinely present when others speak, which fosters deeper connections and understanding. These techniques collectively promote emotional intelligence, helping individuals respond to relational dynamics with increased compassion and awareness. Incorporating mindfulness practices into daily life can significantly improve emotional well-being. Start with just a few minutes each day dedicated to focusing on your breath or journaling about your experiences. These small steps can lead to a greater understanding of your emotional landscape and attachment behaviors. As you grow more mindful, you'll likely notice shifts in how you relate to others, paving the way for deeper, more satisfying connections. Journaling and reflection. Journaling offers a direct window into your inner world, allowing you to put your thoughts and feelings into words. When it comes to understanding how your attachment style influences your relationships, this practice can be revealing. By writing consistently about your experiences, reactions, and emotions, you begin to notice recurring themes that might otherwise go unnoticed. For example, you may start to see patterns in how you respond when you feel rejected or how your need for closeness fluctuates, depending on the situation. These glimpses shed light on the ways your attachment style shapes your perceptions and behavior, providing a clearer picture of how you relate to others. Writing encourages a slow, thoughtful process that helps unravel complex emotional responses. Instead of reacting impulsively, journaling creates space to process feelings and gain perspective. This can be especially useful for someone with a tendency to either avoid or cling tightly in relationships. Putting your thoughts on paper allows you to observe your internal dialogue and question long-held assumptions about yourself and those around you. Over time, this heightened self-awareness becomes a foundation for healthier interactions and emotional regulation because you have a better sense of why you feel or act a certain way in different situations. Beyond tracking feelings, journaling can also serve as a record of your journey toward understanding your attachment style. Looking back at entries lets you see growth, shifts in perspective, and moments where you responded differently than before. This ongoing dialogue with yourself fosters a deeper connection to your emotional landscape, making your attachment style less of an abstract concept and more of a lived experience that you can actively work with. Reflection takes the process of journaling a step further by focusing attention on the patterns that emerge from your experiences. As you revisit your entries or simply sit quietly with your thoughts, you may begin to recognize repeated dynamics in your relationships. These patterns might involve how you handle conflict, the ways you seek reassurance, or how you detach when feeling overwhelmed. By naming these cycles, you are no longer caught in them by surprise. You gain the power to understand what triggers certain reactions and why they occur. Intentional insight means turning reflection into a tool for growth rather than just observation. It involves asking yourself questions like, what does this response reveal about my needs? Or how might my past experiences influence the way I'm interacting right now? This kind of inquiry helps you break free from automatic reactions that are rooted in old attachment wounds. You start to see the difference between what's happening in the present and the echoes of past relationships that color your emotions and behavior today. Reflective practices can take many forms, from mindful meditation to talking things through with a trusted friend or therapist. The key is creating regular moments where you pause and examine how you're relating to yourself and others. This deep attention nurtures emotional intelligence and resilience, helping you build more secure and satisfying connections. Over time, reflection transforms challenges into opportunities for understanding rather than threats to your sense of safety. One practical way to use reflection in daily life is to review interactions that left a strong emotional impact, whether positive or negative. Consider what you felt, what your partner or friend said or did, and how your attachment style might have shaped your reaction. This habit encourages learning from each experience, creating a more conscious approach to relationships that supports growth instead of repeating unhelpful cycles. Seeking feedback. Seeking feedback is a powerful way to gain insight into how others perceive you, especially in relation to your attachment style. Our perceptions of ourselves often differ from how others see us, and feedback bridges that gap. When you actively invite opinions from trusted friends, family, or colleagues, you open a window into patterns you might not notice on your own. This process encourages honesty and self-awareness, helping you recognize behaviors rooted in attachment tendencies, like avoidance or anxiety, that impact your relationships. It's a way of learning what your actions communicate, intentionally or unintentionally, and how they affect those around you. Understanding your attachment style isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's about seeing the real effects your relationship habits have on others. Feedback offers real-world examples and perspectives that can challenge your assumptions or clarify unconscious behaviors. When you're aware of how you come across, you can start making small adjustments that foster healthier interactions. The goal is not perfection but awareness, recognizing patterns, and choosing to respond differently when needed. Over time, this openness to feedback can lead to deeper connections, improved communication, and a stronger sense of self-awareness. Actively seeking feedback also signals to others that you value their opinion and are committed to personal growth. This creates a foundation of trust and honesty in your relationships, making it easier for others to share their honest thoughts. When you approach feedback with curiosity rather than defensiveness, you create a safe space for open dialogue. Remember, feedback isn't about criticism, but about understanding. Appreciating this difference can help you keep your emotions in check when receiving honest opinions, making the process less intimidating and more constructive. It's worth recognizing that seeking feedback isn't a one-time activity, but an ongoing practice. Regularly checking in with others allows you to monitor your progress and catch new patterns as they emerge. By cultivating a habit of asking about how you come across in various situations, you gradually learn to interpret and integrate this information. This ongoing process deepens self-awareness, helping you develop healthier attachment responses that better serve your relationships across all areas of life. Asking for feedback might feel uncomfortable at first, but it can be made easier by framing your questions clearly and openly. Instead of vague requests like, "Am I okay?" try specific questions like, "Did I come across as dismissive in our last conversation?" Or "How did I seem when I handled that disagreement?" Clear questions help others give more focused and honest responses. It's also helpful to choose people you trust and who are willing to be honest, rather than everyone you know. You want feedback from those who can provide perspectives that help you grow without feeling judged or criticized. When feedback is given, listening attentively is key. Resist the urge to defend yourself or explain away what you hear. Instead, practice accepting each comment as a chance to learn. You might say, "Thank you for sharing that," or "That's helpful to know." This kind of response encourages others to be honest again in the future. Remember, you're seeking to understand, not to argue or justify. Sometimes, taking notes can help you process what you hear and identify patterns or recurring themes. Integrating feedback involves reflecting on what was shared and considering how it relates to your attachment style. You may notice recurring comments about dependency, avoidance, or difficulty trusting others. Use these insights as a basis for change. For instance, if multiple people mention that you seem distant in certain situations, you might explore ways to become more emotionally available. Change won't happen overnight, but consistent effort in applying this new awareness can gradually shift your behavior. Keep an open mind and focus on progress rather than perfection. It's also helpful to seek feedback in different areas of your life: romantic relationships, friendships, work, and family. Each domain can reveal different aspects of your attachment patterns. For example, you might find you're more secure with colleagues, but more anxious with your partner. Recognizing these differences can inform targeted efforts to develop healthier patterns. Remember, feedback isn't about fixing everything at once, but about understanding yourself better and making small, intentional adjustments that enhance your relationships. Finally, practice patience and self-compassion as you work with this ongoing process. Receiving feedback can sometimes trigger feelings of vulnerability or defensiveness, especially if it points to habits you're used to hiding. Acknowledge these feelings without judgment and remind yourself that growth is a gradual journey. Each piece of feedback is a step toward becoming more self-aware and building stronger, more secure relationships. Keep asking, listening, and reflecting. These actions are crucial to understanding your attachment style and fostering healthier connections with others. Chapter 14: Long-Term Relationship Strategies. Nurturing emotional connection. Building a strong emotional connection begins with trust and open communication. Establishing a safe space where both partners can freely express their thoughts and feelings is crucial. Start by actively listening to your partner. Show genuine interest in what they have to say and validate their feelings, even if you don't entirely agree. This can be as simple as nodding, paraphrasing what they said, or expressing empathy towards their feelings. When both individuals feel heard and understood, it lays a strong foundation for deeper emotional intimacy. Transparency plays a pivotal role in strengthening bonds. Being open about your own feelings, desires, and fears encourages your partner to be vulnerable as well. Share your experiences and thoughts honestly and encourage your partner to do the same. This reciprocal sharing fosters a deeper understanding and allows both of you to navigate challenges together. It's also important to address conflicts openly without letting them fester. When disagreements arise, tackle them calmly and respectfully, focusing on the issue at hand rather than attacking each other's character. Setting aside regular time for meaningful conversations can also help solidify your emotional connection. This could be as simple as a walk together or a dedicated date night at home. Use this time to share your thoughts and feelings about your day, hopes for the future, or concerns that may have arisen. These moments provide an opportunity to deepen your connection through shared experiences and insights. Remember, quality often trumps quantity, so focus on making these interactions authentic and meaningful. Nurturing emotional intimacy is not a one-time effort. It requires ongoing attention and care. Regular expressions of appreciation can significantly enhance emotional bonds. Acknowledge the little things your partner does, whether it's preparing dinner or lending a supportive ear during a tough day. A simple thank you or compliment can go a long way in affirming your partner's contributions and making them feel valued. This kind of positive reinforcement builds a culture of gratitude and affection within the relationship. Incorporating fun activities and shared interests is another effective way to foster emotional closeness. Participate in hobbies or try new experiences together, whether it's cooking a new recipe or tackling a fitness challenge. These activities not only bring joy, but also create lasting memories that strengthen your bond. Laughing and enjoying each other's company will remind you both of the joy and excitement present in your relationship. Finally, be mindful of both emotional and physical touch. Small gestures like holding hands, hugging, or cuddling can reinforce feelings of safety and connection. Physical touch releases oxytocin, the love hormone, which plays a significant role in keeping the emotional connection vibrant. Pay attention to your partner's comfort levels with physical touch and respect their boundaries, as this shows respect and fosters a deeper connection. By maintaining open communication and actively nurturing emotional intimacy through appreciation, shared experiences, and physical affection, you can cultivate a lasting emotional bond that weathers the challenges of life together. Adapting to change. Long-term relationships naturally change over time. People grow, priorities shift, and circumstances evolve. Recognizing this reality helps create space for both partners to adjust without feeling overwhelmed or threatened. When individuals expect that relationships will remain fixed and unchanging, disappointment and frustration often follow. Understanding adaptability means accepting that what once worked may require new approaches as life unfolds. Rather than resisting change, flexible partners view it as a normal part of being connected in meaningful ways. Attachment styles influence how change is perceived and handled within relationships. For example, someone with an anxious attachment may fear that change signals abandonment or rejection, while a person with an avoidant style might withdraw to protect themselves from potential discomfort. Awareness of these tendencies allows couples to address misunderstandings that arise with change and communicate more effectively about evolving needs. When change is anticipated as part of the relationship's path, the bond can grow stronger instead of weaker. It is also essential to recognize that internal changes, such as personal growth or shifting values, impact relationships as much as external ones, like career moves or family dynamics. Partners who support each other's individual journeys can maintain connection even when they do not follow identical paths. Flexibility involves holding the relationship lightly enough to accommodate movement without losing sight of the shared commitment that holds the partnership together. One way to maintain healthy bonds amid change is to nurture resilience. Resilience in relationships means bouncing back from stress, setbacks, or confusion without allowing difficulties to erode trust or respect. Couples who invest time in understanding each other's emotional triggers develop greater patience because they recognize where fears and defenses come from. Building resilience often requires conscious effort to stay present and avoid assumptions during moments of uncertainty. A helpful approach is to practice open and honest communication that invites curiosity rather than blame. When a partner feels safe to express concerns or frustrations, it becomes easier to work through changes collaboratively. Additionally, maintaining routines or rituals, such as regular check-ins or shared activities, can anchor the relationship when external events feel unpredictable. These touchpoints provide a sense of consistency amid life's shifts. Another important strategy involves acknowledging and validating each partner's emotional experience without immediately trying to fix the problem. Sometimes simply feeling heard creates space for understanding and reduces tension. This is especially useful when attachment insecurities arise. When partners can lean into discomfort together instead of pushing it away, they build trust that helps withstand future transitions. Adapting to change also means being willing to renegotiate boundaries and expectations as needs evolve, allowing relationships to remain mutually nourishing over time. Celebrating growth. Understanding your attachment style is a powerful step toward healthier relationships, but acknowledging how far you have come is equally important. Celebrating growth involves recognizing the small, everyday moments of change, whether it's handling a disagreement more calmly, trusting someone a little more, or setting healthier boundaries. When you take time to notice these improvements, it boosts your confidence and motivation to keep moving forward. It's easy to get caught up in what still needs work, but highlighting your achievements keeps you grounded in the positive changes you're making. Celebration doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It can be a quiet acknowledgement to yourself, a journal entry, a conversation with a trusted friend, or simply pausing to appreciate what's been achieved. Over time, these small recognitions create a pattern of optimism and resilience. This mindset not only encourages continued effort, but also reinforces the idea that growth is a gradual process, built one step at a time. When you see progress, you start to believe more in your ability to shape your relationships and future in meaningful ways. In addition to personal acknowledgement, sharing milestones with loved ones can deepen bonds and foster a shared sense of achievement. For example, celebrating a partner's effort to communicate more openly or acknowledging your own patience in a difficult situation can strengthen mutual understanding. These moments of shared celebration remind both parties that growth is happening and that progress is worth recognizing. They serve as a foundation for building trust and motivation, turning small successes into a collective experience that encourages further development. Maintaining awareness of your growth also involves recognizing setbacks not as failures, but as part of the learning journey. When you experience a difficult moment, rather than criticizing yourself, take note of what you learned or how you handled it differently than before. This shift in mindset helps you see setbacks as opportunities for further growth rather than signs of failure. Over time, this perspective encourages patience, self-compassion, and resilience, allowing you to see your journey as an unfolding process filled with valuable lessons. Keeping track of your progress can be especially helpful. Consider creating a simple journal or folder where you log small wins, insights gained, or moments when you manage to stay true to your goals. Revisit these entries periodically to remind yourself of your evolution. Doing so can serve as a tangible reminder of your capacity for change and resilience. Celebrating growth is not about perfection. It's about recognizing and appreciating each step forward, no matter how small it may seem in the moment. It sustains motivation and provides a foundation to build upon, guiding you toward even greater relationship awareness and emotional strength. Remember, the goal of celebrating growth isn't just self-congratulation. It's about cultivating a mindset that values progress and resilience. This outlook encourages ongoing effort and patience, especially when faced with challenges. When you acknowledge your advancements, you are reinforcing positive behaviors and habits, making future growth feel more attainable. Practicing regular reflections on progress keeps your focus on your evolution, helping you stay motivated and committed to nurturing healthier relationships while honoring your own journey. To keep this momentum, set small, achievable goals and celebrate each success. For instance, if you've managed to communicate more openly with someone, acknowledge that effort. Even a simple acknowledgement like, "I did it," can boost your confidence. Over time, these small celebrations accumulate, creating a sense of momentum that turns into lasting change. Growth isn't always linear, but recognizing even the tiniest steps keeps you moving forward, reminding you that change is possible and worth the effort. Chapter 15, Summary and Final Thoughts. Key takeaways. This book stresses that understanding your attachment style is essential in navigating relationships. Attachment styles, formed in early development, play a significant role in how people respond to relational dynamics throughout their lives. By identifying which attachment style you resonate with, be it secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, you can start to unravel patterns in your interactions and improve how you connect with others. For example, someone with an anxious attachment style might find themselves overly preoccupied with their partner's feelings, while someone who is avoidant might struggle with intimacy. Recognizing these patterns can empower you to make more conscious choices in your relationships. Learning about attachment styles also allows for a deeper understanding of others. When you understand that your partner or friend may be acting in a certain way due to their attachment style, it provides a context for their behavior. This understanding can reduce frustrations and foster empathy. For instance, if a friend with an avoidant attachment style pulls away during challenging times, knowing this is part of their attachment can help you respond with patience instead of taking it personally. This lens not only helps in romantic relationships, but is equally important in friendships and family dynamics. Moreover, the book highlights that transforming relationships involves continual self-awareness. Recognizing your emotional responses and triggers is the first step toward change. Keep a journal of interactions where you notice strong feelings. Explore what attachment styles might be at play, both in yourself and in the people involved. This practice fosters growth. As you become more mindful of your responses and those of others, you can work towards healthier interactions. To enhance your relationships, practicing open communication based on your insights about attachment styles is vital. Discuss your needs and fears with your partner or loved ones. If you're aware of your attachment tendencies, share them with the people closest to you. This encourages mutual understanding. Engaging in such conversations can alleviate misunderstandings and build stronger connections. For example, if you feel your partner is distancing themselves, communicating your feelings can lead to a deeper conversation about needs and attachments. Finally, personal growth involves applying these principles consistently. It is important to focus on ongoing self-reflection. Think about how your attachment style influences your relationship challenges and successes. Embrace the idea that change takes time and avoid being hard on yourself during setbacks. Acknowledge your progress, no matter how small it may seem. Building healthier relationship patterns is a journey, not a race. To cultivate better relationships, actively engage in practices that foster secure attachments. Invest time in self-care, understand your triggers, and surround yourself with people who encourage healthy interactions. Embrace the lessons of this book as a path towards enriching your relationship journey. As you implement these insights, remember that even small shifts can lead to significant improvements over time. Implementing change. Understanding your attachment style begins with becoming aware of how you typically respond in relationships, whether that involves seeking closeness, pulling away, or feeling anxious about connection. This awareness acts like a mirror, reflecting internal patterns that often operate below the surface of conscious thought. When you notice these patterns, you start to see how they influence your interactions with others and how they may limit the quality of your relationships. Self-awareness is not about judging yourself for past behaviors or fixed traits, but about observing with curiosity and openness. It lays the groundwork for any sort of change by highlighting where your emotional habits lie and what triggers them. Recognizing your attachment style also helps you to understand your partner's behaviors in a clearer light. Instead of taking things personally or reacting out of old fears, you can begin to interpret actions through the lens of attachment needs and insecurities. Whether you lean towards anxious, avoidant, or secure patterns, awareness opens a pathway to empathy, both towards yourself and those you care about. This shift reduces conflict and creates room for communication grounded in understanding rather than misunderstanding. It also empowers you to take responsibility for your role in relationship dynamics instead of feeling stuck or helpless. The process of building this self-awareness might involve reflecting on your emotional responses during moments of stress or closeness. Journaling, mindfulness exercises, or discussing your experiences with a trusted friend or therapist can deepen your insight. Over time, these repeated moments of paying attention become a habit that nurtures greater emotional clarity. When you know what drives your reactions, it becomes easier to make conscious choices about how to respond instead of falling back on automatic patterns shaped by early experiences. Importantly, self-awareness is ongoing rather than a one-time event. As you encounter new relationships and situations, fresh aspects of your attachment style can surface. Staying attuned to these nuances helps you adapt and grow in ways that support healthier connections. Rather than seeing your attachment style as fixed, understanding it as a flexible pattern you can influence encourages a mindset open to change. This perspective frees you from feeling defined by past wounds and supports a more compassionate relationship with yourself. Changing deep-seated attachment patterns takes time and effort, but practical steps can make this journey more approachable. It often begins with setting small, achievable goals such as being more honest about your needs or practicing active listening with your partner. These actions may seem simple, but they build new neural pathways that support different ways of relating. For example, someone with an avoidance style might challenge themselves to share feelings instead of withdrawing, while someone anxious might work on tolerating moments of uncertainty without excessive worry. The key is consistent practice. Change rarely happens all at once, but grows from repeated acts of self-regulation and openness. Incorporating strategies like mindfulness helps you stay present when old attachment fears arise. By noticing anxious or avoidant tendencies as they happen, you create space to choose responses thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This might mean pausing during an emotional moment instead of immediately pushing someone away or seeking constant reassurance. Learning to observe your feelings without judgment also reduces their intensity over time, making interactions less stressful and more grounded. Pairing mindfulness with compassionate self-talk encourages gentleness toward yourself during challenging emotional experiences. Another practical approach involves improving communication skills within your relationships. Expressing your vulnerabilities clearly and respectfully helps break down barriers that certain attachment styles tend to erect. It invites partners into your experience and encourages them to share theirs, fostering greater intimacy. Setting healthy boundaries is equally important. Knowing where your limits lie and communicating them calmly ensures mutual respect and prevents old patterns of enmeshment or avoidance from taking over. Tools such as I statements or scheduled conversations can support this process by creating safe spaces for dialogue. Building a support system beyond your romantic relationships can also reinforce positive change. Trusted friends, support groups, or therapists provide perspectives that challenge self-defeating beliefs tied to attachment insecurities. They offer encouragement as you try new ways of relating and remind you that growth is a gradual process. Regular feedback from others can highlight progress you might overlook and help you stay motivated. Seeking professional guidance is especially useful when attachment wounds feel too deep to address alone or when past experiences trigger intense emotions that interfere with everyday life. Persistence is essential. Setbacks and old habits will surface, but they do not mean failure. Each time you notice a familiar pattern and choose a different path, you strengthen your capacity for secure connection. Over time, these small changes accumulate, reshaping your attachment style into one that supports trust, vulnerability, and emotional safety. Keep in mind that your attachment style is not who you are, but a collection of learned behaviors that you can influence with patience and practice. One helpful tip is to celebrate milestones along the way, no matter how minor they seem. Recognizing moments when you acted differently, Whether you stayed calm during conflict or expressed a fear without shutting down, builds confidence in your ability to grow. Remember that meaningful change in attachment patterns is a process of learning and unlearning, and every step forward is a victory in creating more fulfilling relationships. Looking ahead, throughout this book, we've explored how attachment styles shape the way we connect with others. Understanding whether you tend to be secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized provides a clearer picture of your relationship patterns. Recognizing these patterns helps you see why certain reactions or feelings arise in different situations. It also highlights that attachment styles are not fixed forever, but influenced by life experiences and personal growth. One key insight is that attachment styles develop early, often based on childhood experiences with caregivers. But they are not set in stone. As adults, we have the ability to recognize and change how we relate to others. This awareness can lead to healthier interactions and more fulfilling relationships. It also means that healing from past wounds is possible through practice, reflection, and sometimes seeking support. Another important point is that attachment impacts all kinds of relationships: romantic, friendships, family, and even work. Our style influences how we trust, communicate, and handle conflict. By understanding our own patterns, we can better navigate these relationships, knowing where we might struggle and where we can improve. This insight invites us to be more compassionate with ourselves and others as we work toward better connection. Lastly, the book emphasizes the importance of ongoing self-awareness. Recognizing that attachment is a continuous journey encourages us to stay attentive to our thoughts and feelings. This ongoing reflection helps us avoid falling into old habits and instead choose behaviors that foster trust, openness, and security within ourselves and with those around us. Realizing the influence of attachment styles also underscores the value of patience. Change takes time, and setbacks are normal. But each step taken toward understanding ourselves better is a move toward healthier relationships. We develop resilience by learning from our experiences and gently adjusting our responses in daily interactions. As you move forward, keep in mind that making small, consistent efforts to be honest with yourself about your attachment tendencies can have far-reaching effects. Whether it's practicing mindful communication or giving yourself grace during difficult moments, these actions gradually build a more secure and trusting connection to others and yourself. The most effective way to nurture healthier relationships is to stay committed to self-awareness. Regularly checking in with your feelings and reactions helps you notice patterns that might be rooted in your attachment style. For instance, if you notice yourself feeling anxious or withdraws, take a moment to reflect on what triggered those responses. This practice allows you to respond consciously instead of reacting automatically based on old habits. Applying attachment principles in daily life involves small adjustments that can lead to big improvements over time. Building a habit of honest communication, expressing needs clearly, and listening actively can transform interactions. If you find yourself feeling vulnerable or insecure, remind yourself that these feelings are natural and part of the healing process. Sharing those feelings with trusted partners or friends creates opportunities for understanding and reassurance. Continuing education and reflection can help deepen your understanding of your attachment style. Reading more about attachment theory, seeking therapy, or joining supportive groups can provide additional tools and perspectives. Practical steps like journaling your feelings, practicing mindfulness, and setting boundaries are also helpful in reinforcing positive relationship habits. Most importantly, remember that progress is not always linear. Some days will be easier than others, and setbacks are part of learning. Celebrate small victories, like speaking up about your needs or trusting someone new, and view challenges as chances to grow stronger. Patience with yourself during this process is key to sustainable change. To make lasting progress, Consider establishing routines that support self-awareness, such as daily check-ins or meditation. These practices help you stay connected to your emotional state and reinforce your commitment to healthy relationships. Over time, these small, deliberate actions build a foundation of security and connection that benefits all areas of your life. Appendices. Glossary of terms. Understanding the language of attachment theory is crucial for grasping how relationships function. This glossary provides definitions for key terms that pertain to attachment styles and relationship dynamics. It serves as a foundational tool for anyone looking to navigate their own relational patterns or those of others. Key terms include attachment styles, which refer to the emotional bonds and behaviors displayed in relational contexts. There are generally four main styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Secure attachment is characterized by healthy, balanced relationships and trust in others, while anxious attachment tends to involve clinginess and fear of abandonment. Avoidant attachment often leads to emotional distance, and disorganized attachment is marked by confusion and fear in relationships. Another essential term is attachment behavior, which describes actions taken to obtain comfort and safety from attachment figures. This can include seeking proximity to loved ones in times of distress or expressing need for support. It's also important to note the concept of the internal working model, which reflects how individuals perceive themselves and others in relationships, shaped by early experiences. This model influences expectations in adult relationships, affecting how one interacts with others throughout life. Now let's consider how these terms interact in the context of relationships. Each person's attachment style significantly impacts their interactions. For instance, individuals with a secure attachment style often foster healthy communication and emotional safety. They may act as stable sources of support for those with anxious or avoidant styles, helping to create a sense of balance. Conversely, someone with an anxious attachment style might trigger avoidance in their partner, leading to a cycle of distance and dissatisfaction. Understanding these dynamics can illuminate the challenges and strengths within various relationships, enabling individuals to make informed choices about their relational health. Being aware of these concepts also encourages personal growth. By recognizing your own attachment style and its influence on your relationships, you can begin to address any patterns that are not serving you well. This can involve reflecting on past relationship experiences, recognizing triggers, and working towards fostering healthier attachment behaviors. Recognizing these elements allows individuals to engage more consciously in their relationships. For practical change, one might practice open communication to express needs or work on emotional regulation to manage anxiety effectively. Resources for further reading. Attachment theory is a subject with many layers, shaped by decades of research and insight. To grasp its impact on relationships fully, it helps to start with the work of John Bowlby, who first introduced the theory. His writings explain how early bonds with caregivers influence emotional patterns later in life. Mary Ainsworth's contributions, especially her studies on different attachment styles like secure, anxious, and avoidant, build on Bowlby's foundation and give us tools to identify these patterns in ourselves and others. Books such as Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller provide a clear and practical look at how these attachment styles affect adult relationships. Their work breaks down complex ideas into accessible language, offering readers insights they can apply immediately. Another foundational text is Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson, which connects attachment theory to emotion-focused therapy. This book walks through how understanding attachment can help partners communicate and reconnect emotionally, often presenting realistic case examples that bring theory to life. For a more clinical perspective, Mary Main's research on the adult attachment interview, AI, offers a detailed method for assessing attachment styles in adults, which is widely used by psychologists and researchers. These foundational texts and studies create a strong base for anyone wanting to understand why we relate the way we do, what drives our emotional reactions, and how we can reshape unhealthy patterns. Once you've grasped the basics, several helpful books can deepen your understanding of attachment and relationship dynamics. The Attachment Effect by Dr. Peter Lovenheim explores how early bonds shape adulthood, mixing personal stories with neuroscience. Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin offers strategies grounded in attachment science aimed specifically at strengthening romantic partnerships. These books provide practical advice alongside the science, helping to put theory into daily practice. In addition to books, academic journals like Attachment and Human Development publish ongoing research in this field. Articles from such sources can offer a deeper dive into specific topics, including cultural differences in attachment, the neuroscience behind bonding, and the effects of trauma on attachment patterns. For those not accustomed to academic writing, summaries of these articles are often available through psychology-focused websites or blogs, providing a balanced view of current findings without heavy jargon. Online resources can also offer reliable information and support. Websites of organizations like the Bowlby Center or the Attachment Parenting International include educational materials and event listings for those interested in learning more or connecting with a community. Podcasts on psychology and relationships sometimes feature episodes dedicated to attachment theory, where experts discuss how attachment shapes everything from friendships to parent-child bonds. Engaging with a variety of these resources gives a well-rounded picture and practical tools to better navigate relationships. As you continue exploring attachment and its effects on relationships, it can be useful to keep a journal of insights and questions that arise. Reflecting on your own experiences in light of what you learn often reveals patterns that weren't clear before and opens doors to change. Reading widely and staying curious not only deepens knowledge, but also makes the journey of growth more meaningful and grounded. Assessment questionnaires. Assessment questionnaires are valuable tools used to explore and understand individual attachment styles. They serve as straightforward methods to gather insights into how people relate to others, especially in close relationships. These questionnaires often consist of a series of statements or questions designed to reflect typical thought patterns, feelings, and behaviors associated with different attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. By completing these assessments, individuals can start to see patterns in their own relationships, giving them a clearer sense of their attachment tendencies and how these influence their interactions with partners, family, friends, and colleagues. The goal is not to label anyone, but to provide a snapshot that helps people better understand themselves and identify areas for growth or change. Interpreting the results of assessment questionnaires involves looking at the overall patterns that emerge, rather than fixating on isolated responses. Many questionnaires score responses on scales that measure levels of security or insecurity in attachment. For example, a person who frequently agrees with statements like "I find it hard to trust others" or "I often worry about being abandoned" may lean toward anxious attachment. Conversely, someone who scores high on statements like "I prefer to keep people at a distance" or "I feel uneasy when others get too close" might display avoidant tendencies. It's important to approach these results with an open mind, understanding that attachment styles are not fixed labels, but evolving patterns influenced by life experiences. Using the scores as a starting point, individuals can reflect on their relationship behaviors and identify steps to build healthier connections. When integrating questionnaire findings into strategies for personal or relationship development, it's useful to consider specific actions. For example, if someone recognizes tendencies toward anxious attachment, they might focus on building self-soothing skills and practicing healthy communication. For those with avoidant tendencies, working on increasing emotional openness and vulnerability can be beneficial. Maintaining awareness of one's attachment style helps guide efforts toward more secure relationships, which often involve setting boundaries, managing fears, and developing trust over time. Personal reflection on questionnaire results allows individuals to see how their attachment style might have been shaped by past experiences and how they can work toward more secure and satisfying connections. Regularly revisiting these assessments can track progress and reinforce positive change over time. For practical use, it's helpful to combine questionnaire insights with ongoing self-awareness practices. Keep a journal to note feelings and behaviors in relationships, and compare these with your assessment results. This process can highlight recurring patterns and trigger points, making it easier to address them consciously. Remember, attachment styles are not static. With awareness and effort, it's possible to develop more secure ways of relating, even if initial scores suggest insecure tendencies. Using assessment questionnaires as a mirror rather than a box to fit into ensures a flexible, realistic view of personal growth. The real value lies in honesty and a willingness to learn from your responses, which can open the door to healthier, more fulfilling relationships over time. By now, you've seen something important. Your attachment style didn't appear out of nowhere. It was shaped by experience, by what was available, by what felt safe at the time. And because it was learned, it can be updated. Not overnight, not perfectly, but gradually, through awareness, practice, and compassion. The goal was never to erase your attachment patterns. It was to recognize them without shame, to notice when you're reaching for closeness out of fear, or pulling away to protect yourself, or confusing intensity with intimacy. Change doesn't come from forcing secure behavior. It comes from pausing instead of reacting, naming what you feel instead of acting it out, allowing connection without abandoning yourself. Healthy attachment is not about dependence or independence. It's about flexibility, the ability to be close without losing yourself, the ability to be alone without feeling abandoned. As you move forward, remember this. You don't have to heal everything at once. You don't have to get it right in every relationship. Each moment of awareness is already a shift. Each time you respond instead of react, you are rewriting the pattern. Attachment shapes every relationship in your life, but it does not have to control them. With understanding, patience, and practice, connection can become a place of safety instead of survival. And that changes everything.